Hello, everybody, and welcome back to a beautiful Wednesday in Tulsa, Oklahoma. The temperature yesterday was 106, heat index 120.
Which I think was like 46, 47 Celsius for those from a different part of the world.
Running the
that
conversion.
Use logic
Yeah.
and metric systems.
Yeah, yeah. No, I do. I'm a Fahrenheit believer, actually. I think it's the one that makes sense.
Temperature is the one.
Yeah, I think we have that
into
one.
It. Yeah.
Eat it, metric people. Anyways, hot. It's very hot out here in Tulsa and a lot of parts of the southern United States and a lot of other parts of the U.S. as well. Weird heat dome stuff happening in France, and the UK went through it as well.
Didn't Seattle have that going on for a while?
Not like this though. Y'all didn't get it like this. This is kind of normal for us. It was hot.
Yeah. I mean, the beautiful thing about Tulsa weather is that it doesn't stay what it is for long.
Although we have about 6 weeks of like 100+ degrees.
Yeah. But then it'll be gone.
Yeah.
And it'll be beautiful fall, and then it'll be cold, but not Minnesota winters.
Not super cold. Yeah, not Minnesota cold.
And then it'll be spring, which is great. And then we'll be complaining again about summer.
Anyway, the topic is say less, of course, which we're modeling very well. And I want to kick this off with a story that I thought was very funny. I have a general contractor who I worked with to build my house in Bristow, Oklahoma. And he was telling me a story about how he had hired a young kid, 18-year-old, 19-year-old kid, coming out of high school, looking for a job. And, he basically said, if you can swing a hammer, you can come work on the project. So he hired this kid. And Mike, my GC, he has a son who's probably a little older, like mid-20s. So Mike and his son are sitting there, and they're explaining the process, the project to this kid of what they're going to be doing for the day. And, kid's like looking, nodding his head. Mike's like really giving him like a good, solid kind of scientific understanding of why you would do siding this way versus that way, et cetera. And, he kind of pauses. Mike pauses in the conversation, and the kid says, "Hey, Mike, say less." And Mike thought that he was about to fire that child.
Mm-hmm.
And he got very flustered and angry. And he didn't know how to react, of course, which is pretty standard in the field, I would say. And just was about to just absolutely go in on this kid.
He's about to say a lot more.
Yeah. Because he read that as oh, you think I'm saying too much? I'm being too complex. I'm explaining too much. You want me to basically shut up. And I'm literally the guy that hired you. This is very disrespectful. But his son stopped him, before it got out of hand.
It's like I just picture the referee, like a wrestling match.
It was that kind of vibe.
Goes the wrong way.
Yeah.
And the special ref comes out and it's like, no, we got to restart.
I think the special ref did come out.
Yeah.
And that ref basically said, "Hey, Dad, no, it's cool. Say less just means I understand." It's what the kids are saying that.
So it doesn't mean say less.
No,
it means, but it's not a rude stop talking as much as it's like, I get it.
It's more like I get it. You don't need to tell me anymore because I totally understand what you're saying. In a good way, not in a quit way. Anyway, so it's a clever title, is what I'm trying to say. And I think we're going to rope in the 18-year-olds or however old they are now when they're saying that or not saying that.
Well, we eventually have to, or there's not going to be anyone watching.
Everyone's going to age out?
Yeah. Just saying.
Point of the topic today is the following.
What is the point? You tell me.
Well, we've done a few podcasts about communication, and this is a topic du jour. We had Sorcery, Frostmage, Lava Master going on. There's always questions when Sorcery does anything about communicate more or less, bad, etc. We went through the Warlord Kickstarter thing, and my mini Kickstarters, done the Here Be Monsters Kickstarter, kind of watched how that played out, and just the broad general kind of culture around social platforms and the availability of information and the breakdown of corporations from kind of more secretive operations to more public operations. In that, Zach and I are in our Covenant Discord all the time talking to you about whatever. Yesterday, I spilled the beans in the Sorcery General because I just couldn't stand the Europeans being so distraught anymore. And I asked you about that, of course, before that happened. I basically said, yeah, we're working on EU, UK, etc. So there's been a lot of communication stuff that has come up, and I even felt it yesterday of is this the appropriate thing to say? Should we say that we're working on something that could well go wrong? until the final, because like as you get more experienced in life and certainly in business, you really do learn that nothing is really done until it's done. Thank you. So do you want to announce things that are in progress but not officially done? And what are the benefits and the risks of approaching your business like that? And I think this comes up all the time in our industry, all the time. It's the kind of thing where it's just so fun, and it's a recreational activity. It's a hobby. It's something that you want to think about all the time. So you feel like you want to always be knowing, like, what's the next thing, or what's the card that we're going to preview today, or when can I get more and more and more information, more whatever. And I think we're kind of, there's an inflection point here where we need to actually, I mean, companies have to decide what they're going to do and what kind of strategy they're going to take. And I think the old wisdom of like, get the comms person and the PR person and the narrative setter and the kind of Silicon Valley approach that started pretty aggressively a while back, maybe is not even, maybe it's kind of reaching its hero becoming the tyrant phase. It may have started falling to the underworld again. So especially amidst sorcery kind of wanting this 90s magic thing, I wonder how viable it is for a company to actually go there. And we started working that through, and Zach and I were kind of just like musing about what that would be like, because when we were doing Star Wars TCG and certainly the CCG and even some of those early 2000s games, you kind of just learned that a set was coming because either your retailer told you, or a distributor had a sell sheet that got leaked somewhere and it was on a forum post or something. And that was basically it. Or you literally just went to the convention and talked to the publisher and they were like, oh yeah, I'm working on this, Mm-hmm. And is it feasible to go back there? Is going back there basically denying the lessons that we've learned since then? Because things develop in the ways that they do because you learn that there were problems with the way things were happening. And so it's like, just going back to the way that things were is going to bring back all of those problems. But we also have a new landscape at the same time. And so sometimes you can do a bit of a retrospective with new tools and new technologies that somehow now make it more productive than it used to be. And so I think there's that. And then I think, Zach, the other thing too, if I just want to keep saying more here, is I think something that I've been struggling with personally is how much I'm talking about the things that I like and not doing them. And I think this is a pretty common thing in our hobby. It's certainly, I think, just probably broadly across the world, because it's easier to type up a post or a Discord message than it is to actually get a community going to play a game of sorcery or volleyball or anything else. I say volleyball because Nick, who's one of our developers, was a real hero this year and finally got the Covenant Volleyball League off the ground. Something like, I was a massive, I'm a huge fan of volleyball. It's probably my favorite, easily my favorite physical activity, even over hiking, backpacking, that kind of thing. And I had wanted to try to do something like this for a couple of years over at Pearl Beach, or another brewery that we often go to. And Nick was like, all right, we put the team together. He put the thing up. He got everybody. And it just kind of, and now I've been playing volleyball the past 6 weeks. And I realized how much I absolutely adore it. Like, I'm so gratified by it. I love it. Ooh.
We have
testing
some
connections.
Popping. You're popping a little bit.
Popping, you're dropping out.
Dropping out. So, it's like, man, I could have just been playing volleyball all that time. But I was just I was missing the one step between talking and thinking and all of that and actually doing. And that's something to be on guard against, I think. It's like, even tomorrow we're doing Pugs, our first night, Thursday, 6 to 9 p.m. in American Solera.
Tulsa,
Oklahoma. And I actually am going to play more games tomorrow night, probably than I have in many months. And it's like, you know what, everyone talks about stuff so much. And then what you find is, like, most of the time the people actually out enjoying the things you're talking about aren't saying a word. They're just there doing it. Yeah. So I think those are the two things that I'm particularly interested in. And the first one is more our normal style of kind of like, industry breakdown. Maybe publishers and retailers and distributors and industry people can maybe benefit from at least a perspective that can either inform or hedge against your particular approach. And the other one is more of a universal kind of like,
Yeah.
How do we get less talk and more action, as the famous country song would say?
Yeah. So before we get into that,
less talk and
you want to keep going?
a little more action.
Let it ring. Before we get into that, let's cover the news. Let's talk about communication. So it's one of the interesting things for us, because one lens I want to put on that topic is our own communication and what we talk about. And I think I have a really good example we can walk through. This sort of illustrates what's amazing about the era we live in right now.
Yeah.
And our ability to communicate, but also the weight and downside and strings that come attached. There's two sides to the coin, right? So we'll come back to that. So in no particular order, let's start with our friends over at Earthborne Games. They have a couple of things going on. First of all, Into the Maw, the next Valley expansion, is on our website. You can pre-order it. If you had a subscription, the pre-order automatically got created. The pre-order has now been charged. We are expecting to ship that out next week to anyone that has ordered that from us, and then it'll just be in stock. And I love those boxes.
I do too. I love those expansions.
Love those boxes, and the expansions are so good. I have a group of Earthborne, like my Earthborne crew. We have a four-person group. I'm considering, we'll see how Pugs goes this week, but I'm considering trying to like merge my worlds, where it's like, hey, we could play more sessions if we just did this at Pugs. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Anyways.
Yeah, you should. That'd help us out.
Yeah. Just whoosh, bring them in. I think they'll be there anyway.
Yes, they will.
Look at you, Comstock and Phillips. Anyways, so pre-orders have been charged. That's coming. If you haven't checked that out and you're playing Earthborne, you definitely should. If you haven't checked out Earthborne, you should. Absolutely insanely amazing cooperative card game.
That is
Rangers, yeah. Completely different than any of the other cooperative games for a lot of reasons that I won't go into right now. But
you'll either love it or hate it. I'll tell you that. You will love it or hate it. And like we were talking about last week, you will love it or hate it, and that was what makes it great.
Yeah,
it's not right there in the middle of most people will kind of enjoy this. You will either make this the thing that you adore more than anything, or you'll be like, I don't like this at all.
And I will say about Earthborne that Earthborne Rangers specifically, that if you play Arkham Horror LCG, and that's what you've been playing, and then you play this, be prepared for a vibe shock.
It's not even really the same.
I've actually heard this specifically from people where the first time they played Earthborne, they had been playing Arkham and they didn't like Earthborne. And then they stopped playing Arkham, they came back to it like a year later, and they played it, and they loved it. Because if you go in with like a preconceived notion, it's almost like if you were going into a movie thinking it was going to be a murder mystery, and actually it was like an action adventure film, you might not be happy about that. But anyways, Earthborne, definitely worth checking out. That said, Earthborne Trailblazer, which was on crowdfunding earlier this year, it's kind of, Earthborne is a campaign game meant to be played over 20, 30 sessions, long form, big story, open world map, explore this region of the valley. Trailblazer is Earthborne Rangers, essentially, that you can play in a single game night. And so that was on crowdfunding. They just now, right before this podcast, I got the email that late pledges are now open. So
cool.
Campaign ended. You couldn't back it or buy it or anything. So they're doing late pledges, and my expectation is at some point, much closer to when it's actually coming out, which I think is targeted sometime next year, we will launch pre-orders for that at that time, and then go from there.
Everything they do, pay attention to everything they do.
Yeah,
I love that team.
That board game is one of those games for me that sticks with you, and it's like I have since then several times thought, man, I really wish I could play that.
Is there a proper basketball analogy as the basketball? Now, I'll have you know, Zach made a mini basketball into a hoop today during our team meeting, which means that everybody got free lunch. So when you say it like that, it actually sounds hilariously self-gratifying. But what actually happens, like, so every week Zach shoots a basketball.
Yeah, Zach shooting, and then
usually some members of the team will shoot said basketball into the hoop, and then Zach will buy lunch for everybody if they make it. And then Ian basically reversed you and said, Zach, you never get to shoot. So if you shoot and make it, I will buy lunch for everybody. And you did. And it was pretty epic. But all that to say, the basketball analogy I'm looking for is, was there a 97 Bulls style team that then disbanded, but kind of then got back together under a different team? Or it didn't have the Bulls, it's like, Because the way that I see this is that you had the FFG, which became a bit of a 97 Bulls energy. Is like, man, when they were in their LCG era, they were just throwing out incredible game designs.
So,
and then it went away, and then they kind of all got back together.
There's probably a really good analogy for this in basketball somewhere. The closest I can actually think about is the 90s Bulls coach, Phil Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
So they win 6 championships in the 90s. After the 98 season, Jordan leaves, Phil Jackson retires, etc. But then Phil Jackson went to the Lakers and then proceeded to win in the 2000s, win 5 championships.
That's crazy.
With the Lakers. And so Phil Jackson in this example would probably be Andrew Navarro. It's not quite right.
That's pretty good.
But it's like that
I'm sure he's not scared of the analogy.
That idea of like, it's just different. Basketball's a funny sport. But anyways, that's pretty close.
Cool.
Where it's like, well, he kind of went into his own thing and then like, oh, whoops, 5 more championships. Meanwhile, the Bulls did not win any championships in the 2000s or the 2010s or the 2020s. So you can kind of guess who was responsible for the wins in the 90s. And it's not the owners. Sorry, Jerry.
Science helps us out on that. Yeah, anyway, do anything Earthborne Games is doing, just, we think it's worth paying attention to.
Yeah, speaking of which, Hub World pre-orders are live on our website. We mentioned that a few weeks ago. That is a game. That is a game. So we soon, it's kind of Covenant news related, but we will have a table time episode for Hub World coming up. And that was played with like an early prototype, and there's like things that have changed. But for that video specifically, that was the first time I had a play set of cards, even though like half or more of them didn't have art. But sitting down with that set of cards and being able to actually build a deck, they're different. They're not the cards. The team making that game is built different. Mm-hmm. And I think I'm so excited for the world to get to experience Hub World.
Yeah, dude. So here's how I would put that is, we all know the Netrunner style system is great. Everybody knows it. Even people that hate it know that it's great. Just the same way that like I know Fab is a great system, but I don't really want to do it so much anymore. Like it's not like I had a moment where it's like, this is, and it's like I actually don't really want this, but I do know that it is at the top of the game for what it is. The Hub World scene that gets set whenever you get all those actual cards on the table is one of the most striking things that exists. And I will argue, and you guys will disagree with me probably, I think it is quite different from Netrunner in that way. Because the ability for it to create this big landscape of art and everything right here in front of you is just a lot different. It's more immersive for me than Netrunner was, where Netrunner did a great job of me feeling like I was a scrappy runner with like this gear hanging off of my belt and stuff, and I was going into a server. But the scale of those two sides of the board are so wildly different, where like I'm like an individualized runner, and then this is supposed to represent like this massive cyberspace environment. I feel like with Hub World being that kind of symmetrical thing, it's just, you see this living world come alive that both players are playing in, and we're like in the same places rather than kind of abstracted in two different areas.
I think that's a difference between the two that I hadn't really parsed, which is Hub World takes place in a setting, in a place.
Yeah.
And Netrunner takes place in like a digital abstracted
much
place.
More abstract, yeah.
Like you're hacking into mainframes and computers and stuff, and you're in there.
And
you feel like you're in there. But it's different in the same way that like Sorcery, there's like a positionality to everything. And it's like, oh, that volcano is over here, and that phoenix is over here. That you don't feel with Netrunner.
Yep. So. But the whole tableau coming together with all the incredible art that it's just, they know color is the thing. They know how to use color really well.
I mean, they know color, they know art. It's so like art direction. It's hard to wrap your mind around what's actually happening there, but you can feel it when you feel it. And they have a ton of different artists doing art. I was sitting with all those cards for the first time that are different artists clearly doing their thing, but it feels like it's all part of the same world. And there is like I don't know, there's just something to it.
There's something.
It's crazy.
Yeah, something to it.
On that note of crazy art, let's talk about Sorcery. So yesterday we launched our Frost Mage versus Lavamancer pre-orders. That's now available to pre-order. It's coming out November 13th.
13th.
Friday.
That's on both Fulfilled and Direct.
Friday the 13th. That would have been a good Gothic release.
Mm-hmm. Well, didn't they try for Halloween probably, and then just like, oops?
It was. I don't know.
Or when did Gothic
December.
come out? It was December. Dang,
Yeah,
it was December.
They went against all conventional wisdom.
I was certain
December
it was going to come out in Halloween.
It was supposed to be some Eastern European scary holiday. That came
Really?
Yeah. I mean, but it was like a tier 3 holiday.
Eastern European scary holiday. That's hilarious.
You know, I don't know.
I love this.
I mean, hey, it makes look. Eric is from Sweden.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
classic Eastern European
maybe it's
country.
a classic Sweden.
as we know.
They're close. He would know about the holiday as compared to me not even knowing about the country. You know,
like all deaths mass or something. You know,
there's definitely like if you had a world map. Tell me, is this true for you? There's definitely pockets of the map where I would like not really know. Like if it was like put a name on each country in the world, and Eastern Europe is one of those places where it's like I know countries that are supposed to be here. I don't know which ones.
We are properly ignorant. I do feel like we're definitely holding the flag that was given to us as Americans on that note. But I will tell you, if you tell me where is like Norway, much harder than if you show me a map with all the boundaries. I could probably pick out most of the like
you couldn't just
non-crazy countries. Like if you just said like, hey, I'm going to give you a blank piece of paper and I want you to draw the United States and then I want you to draw Norway.
Yes, that would be
about where it is. You know.
What? I have an idea for our next segment. All right, get out a piece of paper.
But if you gave me a map, I could start to work out. Okay, there's Germany and there's France, and then I could get the UK. Obviously, is up here, and then the Ireland, Scotland thing, and okay. Got it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Anywho, I will say, I feel like geographically speaking, I am much stronger than either of my parents.
Yeah,
so
good.
Improvement has occurred.
It's about generational improvement.
Yeah.
Freshfield Lavamancer is pre-orders are there. Pre-orders are on Direct. That's teamcovenant.com in our lingo, and then on fulfilled at teamcovenant.com for retail. And there's 2 tiers as far as I understand it of pockets. If you're a brand new store getting into Fulfilled, trying to buy a Frostmage Lavamancer, I think 6 units is your volume that you can pre-order. And then if you're an established store that's been doing this for a while, I think 12 units is your established cap there. And then we're doing limit 1 on the direct side so that any given Covenant account can only order 1 of these, because the last thing that can happen here, in my mind, for all of us to not to maintain our sanity is to have another like Dragon Lord, it's gone in an hour type thing. So we're hedging against that as much as possible. Again, it's not the same kind of vibe. It's not the same kind of product, but just wanted to make sure. And so I don't know if, probably, again, it's communication, right? Zach and I haven't really talked about this. I guess we'll do it live in a week or 2, or if it hasn't sold out or whatever, maybe we'll raise the cap and maybe people can come in and get a second one if they want. I guess we'll figure that out as we go. But we'll just keep our eye on things. Someone asked earlier, what is your feeling? If you could describe your feeling about Frostmage the Lavamancer in... You got it?
Kevin.
With a mood. What is your mood about the
Describe
inventory levels of Frostmage Lavamancer? I have a mood. A non-PR approved mood.
What would...
Relieved.
Aren't you PR? Wait.
Really? Wait a minute.
No.
I'm relieved.
Okay, I was gonna say, what words would be considered moods? What's my menu option here? We have this. So I have a 2-year-old daughter, and in our
she's about this tall
playroom. She's about we tall. In our playroom, we have these posters on the wall that have various things that she's learning about right now. It's like a school poster, right?
Yeah.
But one of them is like different emotions, and it's a little cartoon face of different faces where it's like, this is angry, this is sad, this is happy, etc. So I need kind of like a menu board like that.
Yeah, that's like, I haven't even thought about really
what are the moods,
the choices of mood,
like teaching about emotions.
Mood is different than emotion.
So mood is like, let's say,
would happy be a mood?
Sparkly. Is that a mood? Could have been seeded by the water here.
I think
Down.
Wait, is Kirkland a mood?
Gray.
Grapefruit's a mood.
Oh, look, Snoopy's a mood. This is a mood.
Hopeful. I think hopeful is a mood.
Well, I'll tell you. I don't know
Hopeful
how to
is a mood.
answer mood because I don't have the vocabulary for it.
Mm.
But
Moodless.
I can tell you that last year with Dragonlord, we put up pre-orders about a month before release, and those were gone in 2 hours while we were live. Like we started a stream, by the end of the stream, it was gone.
We thought we were celebrating, but in fact, it was going to be a sad moment. Actually,
I mean, it internally, exclusively to our interest, yes, selling out of whatever we have of a product is great.
Yeah.
But then there are larger implications of that, and then ultimately, Dragonlord's a whole saga of things. But in this case,
Say less, fam.
That's right. Just stop talking. We're 23 hours in, and we're still not sold out.
Yes, which is, I think, a positive.
I
for
think
the
it's
game.
positive. But
Definitely a positive for the game.
particularly, I think one of the, and this kind of bleeds into the topic du jour of communication and saying less, et cetera, or not, or saying more, or saying nothing. But basically, when you look at this product and what it is compared to Dragonlord was, I think, 14 cards with one of the rent cards being foil.
Mm-hmm.
In a box, you only need one of every card technically to have a playset. And so one way of thinking about that product is most players are going to want one, they get a playset. I think there was an underestimation of a few things. One of them was how many people would want to try to get the foils, or foils of very particular cards that they wanted, et cetera. Like I wanted the Wolf Dragon and so on. And then just there's also, I think, an underestimation of overall interest in the game and growth of the game and
how many players
there are, et cetera. And they did end up making that available for a long time. Like we went to SCG Con Houston last year, and like as part of the event, you get a ticket, and it's like, hey, you can take this over today and get a Dragonlord.
They say they're going to have some Avatar of the Realm.
Yeah. So like they continued to make it available, and it was sort of like, well, we had a pre-order for a minute, some went to distribution, and then they had it at the conventions. And technically, if you go to one of these conventions, it was not hard to get. Technically, but you had to go to a convention. So it's this weird thing where it's like, well, you're kind of rewarding participation and doing the thing. But also if you can't actually have the time or time off or the resources to go, a lot of people had to end up paying $200-$300 to get this set if they want it. Now I set that whole framing to compare it to Frostmage Lavamancer and talk about mood. So Frostmage Lavamancer is 2 fully constructed, fully legal decks to play right out of the box, in a really nice box with a foam insert that you can put 2 fully sleeved decks in and all your tokens.
If you take the foam out.
No, I think it's with the foam.
No, it said it. You take the foam out. It said
well,
it.
Talk about communication.
It said it right there on the sheet. I put it on the website.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that they're placed seemingly in the thing, and then if you sleeve them up, the whole box will carry both decks and your tokens. This is the great communication lesson. So here's what I will say. I can show you where they say that on their official communication.
Here's what I know. Let's go back to that. What I know is that we went to New Zealand, and while we were in New Zealand,
After what I am born.
Yeah. We went to New Zealand like a month ago, right? Literally like a month ago.
Yeah.
And while we were there,
what an awesome trip.
It really was great. They had seemingly a production prototype or early copy of Frostmage Lavamancer there. In fact, we posted on social yesterday / our YouTube channel a picture that was taken while we were in New Zealand of that box that I'm referencing.
Nice.
And it had a foam insert with decks in it that were sleeved.
Nice.
Straight up. And I think that was the intent, which is like, this is a nice box that you can keep. And like one of the problems with like the Gothic box, which is one of the nicest card game booster boxes. In fact, let me back it up. I'll just get bold about this. It is the nicest card game booster box I have ever seen.
Yeah. Super
nice box, magnetic seal, etc. I don't have anything to do with those.
Yeah.
It's cool. I have one on my shelf, but all the rest of them, it was like, well, I guess I'm just going to get rid of these. So it is cool to have these like fully pre-constructed decks in a nice box that can store them. It has all the tokens in it. And so this seemingly, compared to Dragonlord, like if right now you're thinking about getting into sorcery, and someone asked earlier about, I had mentioned that there might be another kit / bundle coming at some point. and whether or not this was the thing I was referencing.
Should we talk about it or not?
Well, that's a communication thing. That's one of the examples, but is not the thing that I'm talking about. This is completely separate. But this product, compared to Dragonlord, if you're considering getting into Sorcery, this is an amazing product.
Mm-hmm. It's particularly if you've played a TCG before.
Yeah. And this is, again, I have not. You have actually experienced this product.
I've played it.
I have not.
Yeah.
But I'm just assuming if that team, from what I've seen from the previews and what I understand, this seems like an incredible first thing to buy.
It's Sorcery.
It's Sorcery.
It's Sorcery. You get it and you play Sorcery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so compared to Dragonlord had the foil, but also it's like if you're new, don't buy Dragonlord.
Yeah.
Like Dragonlord is like you own everything you want or you're into Sorcery and you love dragons.
Mm-hmm.
And like this is kind of a cool release for you.
And it's likely that none of those dragons are maybe ever playable in actual decks.
Maybe
they'll eventually, there'll be enough reduction and weird stuff that maybe you do it. But like, I don't know. Like certainly when it came out, it wasn't like these aren't going in any constructed decks.
Yeah, it's. I know the fire one was in some fire decks, and it was fire decks that weren't trying to win quickly because you need to get to a high resource count.
So the bad ones.
It was like one of the top placing decks had the.
Oh, okay.
But that was back when like mono fire was becoming a thing, and so like the Phoenix also was a relevant thing. It's like this is like a way, and like it's immune to fire damage, so like it's like a counter if these fire. Anyways, all that to say, the product itself. So to me, of course, just access to Dragonlord is one thing to talk about, but it seems like this product is designed as an introductory step where maybe you get the precons, and they've already got great precons, but this is I'm at the game store. There's an event happening in 30 minutes. I don't own anything. I can buy this one thing off the shelf, put some sleeves on one of the decks, sit down and play.
Yeah.
Which Sorcery doesn't have because the precons aren't legal decks.
That's right.
So you can't do that. So I say all of it to say my mood is I think it's great to have products like this. I think having constructed decks that are viable.
These aren't moods at all.
We're getting to the mood, Steven. You got to let me set the mood.
There's so much context. Would you just...
Yeah, that's how I work. I can't help it.
Yeah,
talk
the context machine, Jonathan. Don't you understand?
He does.
Constantly giving context.
All of the context.
So
just swimming in context.
Communication's hard, dog. That's the thesis
that's
here.
Really the thing that we need to get into.
But it not being gone in 2 hours on our website is something I feel great about.
Yeah.
Even though it being gone in 2 hours, I also would have felt great about.
Mm-hmm. So true.
Yeah.
So true.
So general mood is I guess positive. Good. I don't know what the words are, but it's like I think it's good to have products like this that exist. Where at me, I would make sure this product is around and available. Same with the precons. Aggressively.
Yeah.
So I'm glad it hasn't run out yet because that's a sign that hopefully we're in a spot that is less, I guess, short as it was last year. But then on top of that, other side of this coin that's fun is, okay, if you do have incredible introductory products that are routinely available and easy for people to get, and if you happen to have a great game, if those two things are true, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a lot more people that get into the thing.
That's the big question.
At which point, it's like, I don't know. It probably wouldn't take a lot of people get into Sorcery because this thing exists for this thing to just disappear.
Mm-hmm.
So then you get in this weird like publisher, how much do you print?
Mm-hmm.
And how much do you send where? And which regions are you sending it to? And who's getting it? And all this kind of stuff. And it's like, well, if the product is really good and the game is really good and it makes it easier for people to get in, you might create a scenario where you sell 5 times more than you expected.
Yeah.
Suddenly. Now, Dragonlord is different.
Dragonlord is totally different.
Dragonlord is not that at all.
It's the same.
So,
yeah.
Anyways.
It is the classic conundrum that every single publisher on this planet Earth seems to do without fail, which is we're going to build what appears to be a great starter product, but we're going to do something with it that makes sure that our entire existing audience also needs to buy it, which I get. Especially in Sorcery's case, I get, because like you only have so many SKUs, right? Like we can't, you can't fab it out and just be like, well, just don't buy the mech set. Like, see you next year.
Mm-hmm.
But that does complicate the math, because now you're thinking, okay, well, so there's exclusive cards in Frostmage and Lavamancer. Now they could be cards like Dragonlord that are completely unplayable and constructed. I doubt that's the case. Having played the decks, it's not the case. So do you then just, for instance, if you were to take Gothic, the last 3 sets, and you did, I'll call it revised just because Eric loves the term revised. You did a revised battle box, 2 fully playable decks, all cards from the last 3 sets, and you put that out as we're going to print a bunch of these, and the goal is to get them cheap and into the hands of new players. Like if you did that, I think it's easier to kind of make a bet on how much you should print and how you should market that product and what it is ultimately. But when you try to kind of do both of those at the same time, which Fab did with freaking Dorinthia and Reiner, you remember that old thing?
Oh man.
Oh man. And then if you're a warrior player, you got to buy 3 because there's a 1 of that you need 3 of.
Yeah.
Across that, like it seems like there's always, even Arkham and I think it was Arkham, or it was a lot of FFG products did this too.
Decks, yeah.
Whereas like, yeah, it's for new players, but also existing players need one too. And it makes sense revenue-wise, but it makes the marketing of the product really strange. And the print numbers really strange because, again, yeah, do you print a bunch knowing that everybody needs it and then guess at new players? Or do you say, I am going to print a bunch and I know that I'm going to have enough because none of the current audience needs this, and I'm just going to send this into new player. Pretty fascinating stuff. And how you communicate about that, I mean, who is Frostmage Lava Minister for is always the question you've got to ask.
Yeah. And I mean, I think if you're going to go to the trouble of designing a product, having it manufactured, dealing with global logistics, warehousing, sales, etc. Because let's say, and we may be bleeding into more of a topic here than news, but let's say that you did design that product. It's all old cards. Current players don't need it at all. And you're printing it. And it's like, well, I never want to run out of this.
Mm-hmm.
I want this always to be available. Well, now you still have another problem, which is like, okay, who's going to buy this?
Yeah.
And I don't mean who's going to buy this as a player. It's people get into Sorcery will buy it. Great. But before they buy it, who's buying it?
Mm-hmm.
Because you presumably, if you're, I don't know, let's say indie small publisher based on New Zealand, maybe you don't have warehouses all over the world and logistics teams that can store this product and insure it and ship it and do all the stuff you need to do with it. And maybe distribution doesn't want it. Or maybe distribution only wants a small fraction of it.
Because distribution would say to retail, hey, do you want this? And retail might then say, well, none of my current players want it, so...
Yeah, and they might say, okay, I'll take 5.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well, now you sold a couple thousand, but you printed 50 to make sure you always had it.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, and it's a little chicken and egg scenario. And it's like, well, and these are all fake numbers, but if you were a game and you know that you have, like, let's say 10,000 players, like, well, we could create a product that's great as that bridge that also has new cards in it. And we want to make new exciting cards, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, now we know that we're at least going to sell 10,000, which makes it worth the time to work with the factory, put the packaging together, do the print run, send the freight shipments all over the world, have it in a warehouse, etc. Do the solicitation, it's so much work to just release anything. And so then you also get the drift of like, okay, if you're a retailer and you have 8 players that definitely want this thing, then it's really easy to be like, well, I'll go ahead and order 12 because current players obviously want it and it's a great onboarding thing. And so like now they're going to be using it and excited about it and their friends might want to come do it and they might share it. They might buy it as a gift. They might buy a second copy, like that kind of thing. And so suddenly now you've kind of like snuck your way into tens of thousands of units being sold and on where you want it to be on shelves where this is like a new player might see this and be able to get it. Or when I'm telling you about it, if you don't play Sorcery, I can then tell you, hey, this is on their shelf over here. Whereas if it's just a starter product of old cards, like it's a much harder sell.
Yeah.
But I understand what you're saying, which is like, well, who is this for? And one thing that makes this unpredictable is, like in Dragonlord's case, I think there was an underestimation on how many copies on average players would buy or want to buy.
Yeah.
And in this case, right, it's like with the details we have, I assume 99% of Sorcery players want 1. But also,
I think a lot of people want 2.
I was
keep
say,
the one in the box style, and you break one down into your bulk box for deck building.
And not even that for me. Like I was placing my order for the courts like a sucker.
Yeah, I did too. I got them in.
No, I'm not even a sucker. I was happy to do it. I love fundamentally changing the game through dust cards personally as a player. But
That's a hot take, and a lot of people hate that.
I am the courts like I would be amped if it was like there's a new 1 to 6 cards a month that I could buy with dust, and it's just like because to me. Yeah, I would, and I would be all about it,
Dude. Hold on, let me make a note to check the comment section here in about a week.
Because again, especially with a game that only has a release once a year, like just changing the game and new deck building tools. Like, and I get a lot of people probably love Sorcery because it isn't changing as fast.
Or if you buy 1 to 2 boxes, you don't have enough dust to constantly be getting cards off the dust store.
Yeah, but then you go do the thing, which is play the game.
Yeah, but you don't have anyone
Get the
around.
points,
you
you
play
do
with
thing.
your friend, you know.
Yeah, anyways.
play-
So that's really
Is
not
it a kitchen table game or
that's
not,
really
Zach?
not the point. Well, that's the point. If it is a kitchen table game, none of the stuff you just said matters. It's like you
Well,
just
I still want the cards on my kitchen table. I just don't get dust for playing with my dad.
yeah, but also it's not like you're. I mean, the same thing is true of like, well, I don't have cards unless I buy them.
Right.
If you buy cards, you get dust. If you get dust, you can get more cards.
Oh, right. I see how that works.
It's a whole
You
cycle.
can buy
Yeah,
dust directly,
anyways.
actually, in fact.
Can you?
Yeah, just illicitly.
Oh yeah. See,
yeah.
I mean,
I can get you a toe.
Yeah. I'll get you a toe with polish. Anyways, I don't even know where I was. I've now gotten off on the
No,
Lebowski
yeah,
quote.
I'm just literally just going to love reading back what people think about you saying that. And I can know based on my communication PR experience, there's going to be, oh my God, this is why they're doing it. Because they talk to TC all the time. And Zach's really big on dust cards, going
It's all
through and
Zach's
interrupting the meta. And so if it weren't for Zach's crazy opinion, they would, of course, listen to the community and not be doing this. Listen to the community, you know.
We're roughly 1 hour
Here-
in, according to
Jonathan?
the time code. Before, no, listen. No, this is a joke. It's a joke. It's fine. It's fine. It's just a funny joke that I'm about
We
to
haven't
say.
done we haven't done the social media monkey dance section yet.
No, I don't think there's dance, but the monkey dance section. I was just saying that when you look at the comments and it says 1 hour, this is pre-prop,
yes.
then you'll know that they're about to give a well-reasoned take based on
Mm.
Zach's well-reasoned take, and the internet will just continue to turn to spin.
Mm-hmm. Let's finish the news.
Yeah.
I got a lot of comments I want to talk about.
All right. Next up, we have Warlord, and we will talk more about Sorcery in the actual main topic. But
yeah, probably.
Warlord heads up. Their first SCG con is in Dallas, first weekend in September.
Boom.
They're joining the fold at Dallas and Baltimore. I saw the announcement about that, and I think that's amazing for that game. That's a little
First weekend in September. Is that Labor Day?
Yes, it is because
Well,
that's
we're
my
not
anniversary
going.
weekend,
Yeah.
and I'm
Terrible
not going.
choice.
Yeah, well,
For me, I'm gone on Labor Day.
I'm sad because it's in Dallas, which is very drivable.
Yeah.
And Warlord. So I'm currently planning to bring my Warlord and Sorcery decks to Pugs on Thursday night
Mhm.
because those are the two at this very particular moment that I'm like most inclined to play. So I'm sad that will be that close and I will not be participating. But if you are close, definitely check those out. We went to Houston last year for SCG Con to play Sorcery in one of their grand contests, and it was great.
Super fun. Loved
Yeah,
it.
they were on a good show. And then we get to Covenant news. We have Pugs, which we mentioned a few times. Thursdays, 6 p.m. American Solaire, Tulsa, Oklahoma. Best beer in town. And if you're anywhere near, join us. It'll be a really good time. We'll be hanging out playing a bunch of different games. We have a bunch of board games. The team can show you how to play any of the games we support specifically.
We're bringing Old King's Crown. We
Mm.
played some Magical Athlete yesterday too, just because we were
Dude.
unboxing it.
That game.
Hey, Jonathan, here's a crazy thing. You don't know this?
I didn't know you
Dude.
Guess what?
Oh, that's why you picked it.
Guess what we learned about Magical
Just
Athlete?
ask
Was
him.
Joey
Ask him.
cheating?
No. Who
No.
designed it?
Was
Who
Josh
designed it?
Andrew Navarro.
No. Good
Better.
guess.
Better than Andrew Navarro.
Like crazier.
Ray Weirs.
Crazier.
Ah, wow.
Right, more right
He
direction,
lives
but
to
keep
God's
going.
ears.
Man, those are my two.
All right. Who's the most iconic game designer of all
Richard
time?
Garfield.
Richard Garfield.
He
It's
designed
an old
Magical
game.
Athlete?
It's an old game designed by Richard Garfield.
Doesn't that make you want to punch a wall?
I don't like that.
How can
actually very
someone
much.
He's actually just like crazily good at
be
this.
so good at something?
They
Well-
just you crack the code and then everything's easy. Once you crack the code, it's easy.
It's I
You just gotta crack the code.
can't like it would be so incredible to be that incredible at anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
One day I aspire.
It's interesting because perhaps the whole industry being built on his idea to begin with gives him an advantage.
Yeah, maybe.
You know what I'm saying?
Maybe.
But I don't.
But
like-
he's a mathematician. He's a combinatorial guy.
Just the
There's something under the hood there.
when you
that's
start
going on.
listing games
Yeah.
that he designed,
Yeah.
regardless of success, it doesn't even matter. Like remove anything. It's just like you can't design that insanely good of games, and it's like a lot of times a designer. Like I think about Eric Lang, who I think was a great card game designer. Did a lot of the 2010s/2000s LCGs.
Mm-hmm.
But like when I'm playing an Eric Lang game, I know I'm playing it.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, that's
it's a
fair.
very specific style.
Whereas Richard Garfield just knocks down the greatest. It's so okay, Magic, cool, but then Netrunner, like
Yeah.
it would be like.
And let's not forget about BattleTech.
Let's not forget about BattleTech.
Let's not forget about
It's just like a
BattleTech.
musician. If they put out 50 albums that were all like best in their category, but completely different categories.
Like
of
Garth
music.
Brooks and Chris Gaines.
That's right. Exactly like that. Anyways, drives me crazy. One thing I wanted to go ahead.
The best way to put it is if you play a game, it's an Eric Lane game. If you play a great game, it's somehow always a Richard Garfield.
Yeah. What the heck?
Magical Athlete, like that game is a Garfield, man.
Well, and the first time I
Get
played that,
outta
it was
here.
like, okay, this is gonna be like, I got the big baby little thing. Okay,
Big Baby is so good.
I know. I can't get over it. It's the little, anyways. But then you play it. It's like there's not even a game here, and then you get like halfway in, you're like, this may be the greatest game of all time.
Yeah.
Anyways, Magical Athlete, everybody. One thing I wanted to mention from last week, we were talking about. I looked it up because I wanted to know the name of the bookstore I was talking about in Utah, but specifically the tagline
Oh,
that I was mentioning. I just want to re-reference that. So it's Moon's Rare Books. Their tagline,
like apostrophe S? I mean, like the rare books are owned by the Moon?
yes,
Or
sure.
just
I don't know.
M-O-N-S?
MOONS. Rare Books.
Okay,
I don't
no
know if there's
apostrophe.
apostrophe.
You don't know if there's
I
an
didn't- I
apostrophe.
didn't type
You
it with
didn't
a-
type the apostrophe. So
I
there's
didn't
not
type the
print on it.
apostrophe.
Hold on, I got it.
But
So,
here, this is the thing that I like the most.
it's really
This is
important.
very alluring to me. This is the tagline: a museum disguised as a bookstore. That
It's
says
apostrophe.
that says
The rare books are owned by the Moon.
so much with so little. I love it. Like you immediately know what you're getting into.
No, we need to. Yeah, that's so inspired. Actually,
Yeah, it's like I hate how
Inspiring.
much I love it. Anyways,
crazy.
and then we have our technical social segment, which is really not a social segment. We're not going to dance for the TikToks. But Lindsay has a question that she wants us to ask
The audience.
the audience, and she wants to get comments live and or back if you're watching this later, or if you're on the podcast listening to it. Please go to the Discord channel and just.
That's a big lift. Actually,
this.
if I'm listening to a podcast, there's no way I'm gonna go do that.
But if
I'm
you
just gonna
do,
keep- I'm just gonna keep.
we will
listening.
love you forever and be grateful. Which is, why in the world are you watching or listening to this content?
She literally typed in the world.
No, I said that.
Oh,
I had a
okay.
flare.
Is this because Lindsay doesn't know why people like us, or just wants to?
So,
actually
trying to
know?
learn. Yeah.
You know what?
Like, I've been watching for weeks.
She's like, ever since I started, the one burning question is, who is this for? Who likes this?
Where
at
are these
all?
numbers coming
So,
from?
so we're Lindsay. We hired as our digital marketing specialist, and what that really means is managing our social media and our like paid ad campaigns.
Paid ads, which we got back into because we hired Lindsay.
That's
We haven't
right.
run paid ads for a decade.
That's right. But
Turns out it's easy.
we've been working through a lot on the social media front, social media strategy, communication, etc., which is all very topical. And she very genuinely asked me, in our conversation this week, in one of our conversations this week, like basically, why do you think people that do engage with our content enjoy it?
This content or like any content?
Any of it.
This is a special kind of content. This is like
Well, and
having you
So
over
there's
for
a
lunch.
stream, of course, but then there's like tutorials or table time, etc. And so she was genuinely asking, and is like, honestly, I don't know why people.
It's hard. It's hard to lock it down.
engage. It's like you're too close to it to see. So if you have thoughts on that, please leave them in the comments, and she'll be looking at that. And that directly will probably have an impact on the kind of content we end up posting to social media, and the kind of stuff we're sharing and communicating. But before going too far, it was just like trying to lock down why anyone cares about any of this, specifically the stuff that we're doing, not like the games and stuff. And I don't know, because I'm in it. I'm not on the other side of the screen.
What I've found is that if you just do something for a really long time, you'll probably have some level of success at it. Just grinding it out is like really the point. It's like the whole thing you learn in life. Just stick to something.
I just try to make content that Frank will like, and then
yeah, dude, it's really for Frank. Do you remember that old story? I ever tell you this old story about the guy that goes around and digs a well like 20 foot deep and doesn't hit water, and so he's like, oh, I guess there's not water here, and he goes to another spot and digs a well 20 foot deep, etc., and does that, and then I think as the parable goes, like dies because he can't drink any water. Did I tell you that story before?
I don't know. No, I haven't heard that one.
There's another part of it, and then there's another guy, maybe like a neighbor. I don't know. It's really more compelling if you hear it correctly. But there's also another guy, and he doesn't hit water at 20 foot, and so he keeps drilling, and then eventually he hits water and survives. Anyway, I think we've just been drilling for a very long time.
I see. I would say you stuck the landing on that one.
Anyway, just keep drilling. I mean, you put yourself, turn the camera on, say stuff day after day, week after week, month after month for 17 years, and somebody somewhere is going to like it. If you can get 1,000 people in the world through a long-term distillation process of 17 years of drilling, they're going to like what you're doing, and at that point, you don't really know why you're doing it or they like it. You're just trying to get a drink, Do you
guys want to read something that'll make your day?
Yeah. Sounds like, yeah, dude.
I hear you. I was waiting and seeing if you would stick the landing.
I think that's actually a parable about spirituality, by the way.
Where from?
Oh, I dare not.
Are we about to go into quoting Shakespeare? It felt I dare not be.
I think it's the idea that the people that bounce around from this practice to that practice to that practice. Now I'm doing yoga, and now I'm going to church, and now I'm over here doing Buddhism, and now I'm Taoist, and now I'm an atheist, and all that kind of stuff. It's like, just stick to something and do it, and then the fruit will be born, or the water will be hit, regardless of what it is.
Right.
Now, of course, many religious churches would disagree with that concept, but I'm not here to preach.
Just keep digging is what you're saying.
It's just if it's meditation, meditate and just do that for the next 50 years, you'll probably find what you're looking for.
Yeah.
But the point of meditation is not to find anything. So it's a bit of a catch-22, I would say. Anyway, enough about me. What do you got?
Richard, you guys are one of the few companies that I trust. TC is so intentional and genuine with everything they make, and you all put so much effort into everything you do.
Thanks, Richard.
I do love that comment.
That's awesome.
See, that's a nice one.
That is one of the benefits of being so public, I think, and that is also the risk of it.
Segue into the topic.
So this is the question. Let's talk about the communication as it relates.
Thank
to
you all
trust,
for answering.
especially.
Lindsay is going to be
very
grateful for that.
Yeah, thank you. So there is as far as communication is concerned. Here's okay. Wait, hold on. Let's just back it up. Okay, so I want to define a quick spectrum. On the one end of the extreme, you have what I would consider the old way, which is the publisher, as far as you know, does not really exist as a public entity. There's just new booster boxes or there's new products that show up on shelves. And you know that somebody made them, but you don't really know anything about whether they were delayed or on time.
So, as an example of that,
yeah,
it's 1999. Base set of Pokemon comes out, which I've been engaging with more now recently for unrelated reasons. But comes out as a kid, I get Pokemon, start playing.
How did you find it?
My mom bought starter decks for me and my brother. We've been playing the Game Boy game.
I remember that.
And then she just
she saw the logo, she knew it. She was at some random store.
Yeah, and
stocked it.
You know, side note, those starter decks are so iconic. And I can see them in my mind when you see them. Anyways, they're worth a lot of money now. Funnily enough, if you just leave them alone, don't open them.
Which is keep drilling. Like I said,
point, just look at them, don't use them. Just kidding. The point of it is, we got starters, but I remember, Jungle and Fossil came out, and I couldn't have told you who made that game as a kid, and it didn't matter.
Ironically, it was the Pokemon Company, which would have been an easy guess.
It was not. It was Wizards.
Oh, right.
Wizards originally printed Pokemon for the first 7 to 10 set. Yeah, it was WotC. But they were just translating the Japanese game and printing it, and that led to a lot of issues, by the way. And they wanted to ban lists like they'd been doing with Magic, but they couldn't because the Japanese company was like, nope, that's not how we work.
You have learned a lot about this.
I have.
I can tell you're brimming with new information.
Yeah. Anyways, I didn't know any of that at the time, by the way. And now I'm looking back and there's some really cool content about kind of the evolution of the meta and the decks and the games and what was popular or not. And then like people still, there's various names for it. The most common one is like Pokemon 99, which is just playing with the first 3 sets. And that's like the OG kind of, a lot of people look back at that as like the best the game was.
Yeah.
And then it just gets bad from there.
Yeah.
But
it expands, you know.
Yeah.
It's the same problem as always. It's like episode 4. Well, episode 1. The 4th episode.
I'm going to not take up that gauntlet.
Things don't tend to get better over time.
Things don't tend to get better the more of them there are.
Okay. Yeah.
But all that
Tend.
said,
Not to say there's not exceptions, of course.
As a kid, I didn't know wizards
What does that mean
existed.
about our content?
Don't keep drilling. We're done. Say less. As a kid, I didn't really know wizards existed. I didn't know when anything was happening other than I was constantly begging any adult I was with to stop at pawn shops and card game shops and vintage stock and FYE in the mall and like just always on the lookout. And then one day you show up and it's like jungle packs are sitting there. It's like,
new set.
Oh my God, what's in there? And then you buy your 2 packs that you can buy. And it's Pokemon that have not been in the card game before. And you're just losing your mind, right? Anyways, I say that to say that is old school to me.
You didn't even know, really, I think like odds or foils or not foils or what's in the box, what's the set list.
You know that some packs have foils. You know that some packs, like the cards have the rare symbol on them. So you know what that is. But yeah, I couldn't tell you. And part of it back then is I was a kid. So like, I would never even deign to think like, what are the odds if I buy this box of getting a card?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like beyond. It's like, I'm just looking still 1-2 packs at a time looking for Charizard. That's where I'm at.
Is he in the jungle?
Yeah. But even that, it's like, I don't know he exists because I can see the card online or I'm looking into blogs or whatever. It's just like, I have heard there is a Charizard.
You heard that from like the schoolyard?
Probably like you're at vintage stock and people are like, oh yeah, someone opened a Charizard last week and like people are losing their mind. And then there were magazines back then. You know, I remember going to like Warehouse Market in Claremore and they have a little magazine stand. You go and you're like reading. It's like, there's the Charizard.
But notably, and this is a key part of this, is those magazines were not made by WotC or the Pokemon Company.
Not at all.
Like the Beckett magazines that I see mentioned in the chat or the card evaluations, like those were all third party.
So for the most part.
Hold on. Did WotC make a magazine though? Did they do Dragon and all of that? Or was that an independent? Because I don't want to speak out of my depth here. You guys would know out there if they did or not.
Who published Dragon? I think. Oh man.
Because I could have seen that being in like a Inquest and stuff.
Yeah.
I think that was independent,
but all that to say, like,
I love
as a kid playing Pokemon,
someone knows.
I had no communication or interaction really with Wizards other than buying the product when I could, and no expectations of what they would communicate. But that's very old school, where it's like you make a thing. It's sort of like I assume it's General Mills that makes Lucky Charms. If I had to guess, it's the only cereal like brand that I know. But it's like I don't expect to hear anything from General Mills ever.
That's just a recall.
Even then, I won't hear from them.
Our Lucky Charms are killing the children.
So like, we're in this interesting era and also an interesting segment of the world where we have any sort of expectation from people making something, saying anything.
Yeah.
Anyways,
so that's one part of the spectrum is basically say nothing, and that the way that worked is a historical communication chain. It just is decentralized. So you would basically like the leak that came out from Southern about Sorcery. Like you would send to distributors who had a lot more power back then. This is what we're making. How much of it do you want? And then they would send that information sometimes over the phone to their retail stores and say, "Hey, Mike, down at whatever card
Emporium."
I really was trying to make some kind of clever name, and it just. I usually can do that pretty well, but like it just wasn't. There was nothing there. It was like I knocked on the door, and literally I could see the window was open and the curtains were flapping in the breeze.
I've definitely been like, I'm going to start talking, and I know that I can fill this in by the time I get there. And then you get there, it's just like, oh,
yeah,
no,
it's like
this
pressure's
signal
on.
did not happen.
Anyway, funny card shop name here would get the call and be like, hey, Pokemon's making a new set. Like, how many boxes of that would you think that you want? And then be like, oh, man, people are coming in here buying Pokemon packs all the time. Like, I want as many as I can get. I want 20, 30, 80, 1,000 boxes there. And then Joe at the card shop basically says to anyone who comes in buying Pokemon packs, hey, by the way, there's going to be a new set that I'm going to have in December. So make sure to get here December, maybe mid-December. It's going to start hitting the shelves, and I don't know if I'll have enough or whatever.
Yeah.
And like,
funnily enough, I remember literally, so Pokemon is what got me to start hosting events out of the back of my uncle's movie rental business, the Movie Barn. And it took a couple sets, but he started stocking Pokemon.
Yeah.
Because we would have 15 to 20 people playing Pokemon.
It was easily got to be the most lucrative thing the Movie Barn was doing.
Well, that was within like 6 months it was. And it was like, I remember at some point my
all these movies to rent and these little packs of cards are driving revenue.
And we're in these like old dining room tables with mismatched chairs in the back. But I remember my grandpa at some point talking to my uncle, and he was like, do you feel like Zach should be getting anything for all that he's doing for you? And he's like, what do you mean? And he was like, I just wanted to play Pokemon, right? But that was a whole fun party experience. But I remember by like Neo Genesis, which was the set that introduced like the gold and silver Pokemon, he was just straight up stocking. But I do remember like it was literally all by phone. It's like he would get calls, and it's like, how many of these boxes do you want? And he'd order them. Then we knew they were coming out. And then we would sit down at the Movie Barn and wait for the UPS truck. And you would hear the like brake sound, and like you run to the front. And it's like, is that the UPS truck? And some days it just doesn't show up. Yeah. And then you come back the next day.
Bummer.
But just hours sitting down there, like looking at cards playing, waiting for UPS to show up so you can buy your 3 packs, whatever you can afford.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was by the phone at this point.
Maybe seeing a couple of previews in a magazine or something, you know, that kind of stuff could occasionally happen. So that's the one side. The other side is this hyper, I guess you could call it transparent, although it's not necessarily transparent, even if it's voluminous in terms of communication. But you have complete access to every primary stakeholder of a business, basically. And those stakeholders, if you will, are interested in sharing anything and everything about their business, and basically having a more, you think of it like a relationship level kind of, I don't know, strategy when it comes to comms. So like, we don't want you to just consume the product or buy the product or whatever. It's like, we want you to love our brand, and we want you to care about what we're doing, and we want to be an active part of your day-to-day life. And in tabletop games, and I think video games went through this, and a lot of the hobbies in this arena, you know, this looks like I have a Discord channel. There's a Reddit community about this thing. There's Facebook groups, and I need to hire somebody or be the person who is actively in all of those spaces and communicating with players wherever they are about what they're getting wrong, and about like kind of what is coming and what we're going to do next and why it matters and all these kinds of things. And I think a lot of times this is the form of a community manager. Companies will hire a community manager in tabletop, and they will basically be there effectively getting berated constantly. I mean, that's as far as I can tell, whether it was FFG or anybody else, it was just, here's a person who's going to be in all the social spaces and public spaces, and anytime anybody's angry about something, which is 24/7, they're going to be tagging this person and saying like, what about this? You know, like, what would you say to this? Why did this get banned? Or like, what happened to this card? Or like, why is the set delayed? Or what have you know, all these kinds of things. And then they're there to basically prevent the swell of discontent from becoming the primary narrative surrounding any given property or game. Like if Thrones, the TV show, had a community manager during season 7, they would have been able to do nothing. There was no way you could out-communicate the quality of the product being so poor. So there is something important to that. But I think that's the other swing, and that has become, I think, the expectation is that if we have the tools for people at an organization or doing anything, I would say, to communicate directly to the public easily and quickly, then they should.
Well, I think a really good example of whatever this is called, I'm sure there's terms for this. In
New school. We'll do old school and new school.
That know. But I think about Stonemaier Games. And Jamie he's the founder, owner of Stonemaier, does the designs for most of their games. He's doing YouTube stream content constantly. He's on all the social media. He's on Instagram and Blue Sky and Facebook, etc. And I mean, it's crazy how transparent he is, actually. Like, he does an annual stakeholders report, and it's like, here's how many units sold. We sent them here. This many went to distribution. This many sold direct. We have our, like, basically insiders club, and this is how many went here. This is where our revenue came from. This is the, and it's like, he's very forthcoming with information. And in like a not even just like I have a team follow me around all day that's just documenting everything that's going on and sharing it with the world. So that's like whatever approach that is.
Yeah.
Which is like fully leveraging this idea of like, I think one of the major shifts from 90s to now is that you have so many mediums and tools where you can communicate directly. Because I would assume in 1995, if you're a company trying to communicate with the public, you're either doing paid ads or you're talking to newspapers, magazines, etc. Like you're doing classic PR. And you're trying to get on the news, and you're trying to get a segment on, Good Morning America, and you're doing whatever to talk and like spread the message. Even I think about giant companies like Apple. I remember when the iPhone was coming out. You see Steve Jobs going around, and he's doing the rounds on the news circuit, right? And he has PR people that have like set up all these things and 60 Minutes and like all that stuff. Whereas now, like if you could roll back the clock to the 80s in today's environment, and then I do wonder, if today's environment existed in the 80s somehow, what would Steve Jobs have been doing? Because like they even did their annual big presentation. It wasn't like you never saw him until he wanted you to see him.
Yeah.
And it's not like Apple, as an example, which is a giant company now, is like posting a daily blog or a daily live stream or like.
Well, you can tag Steve Jobs on Twitter or whatever, right? Yeah. And it's just like, I don't know, maybe he'll read that.
That kind of thing. So that's another old school thing. Now, one thing he did that was really kind of bizarre and fascinating is you could email Steve at apple.com or whatever, and then some number of people he would actually just respond to.
Yeah.
Which is cool that you could just do that, but it was like access by choice.
Yeah.
Not public.
Yeah.
And
I mean, one great example of this, heaven forbid we mention his name, the lights might go out, but Elon Musk is a great example of this, right? Like, he's wildly public.
Yep.
For good or ill, but like he's an example of somebody who is very engaged in openly communicating about what, like, the wrong things, I would argue, but like everything.
Yeah. And that's where you get into you kind of just have this, it's like a strategic business decision. Because I think there are people, Elon Musk could be one of them. Same with Jamie from Stonemaier. Not same. Those are not equivalent.
Wow, go ahead and clip that one out.
Yeah, but
go ahead and send that one over to Jamie. Like, I'm sure he'll be pleased.
To me, what Jamie is doing is very natural.
You mean the Elon Musk of tabletop games, Zach?
There's the headline. Dang it! We need a PR person.
Comms failure.
But the way he conducts his business is very him. I think very natural for him. It's what he wants to be doing. It seems like he enjoys doing it. I think there's so many people, like, I would venture to say when we're talking about publishers, and then we'll talk about Covenant. But with publishers, I'm going to guess basically none of them got into being a publisher because they were like, you know what I want to do? I want to spend all day on the internet communicating and talking about my opinions on any of this stuff.
Or like giving updates about anything and everything of, hey, how's this? Are you ever going to go here?
That's a great example of this. We used him earlier. Is Richard Garfield on the internet?
Like, good question.
He continues to design games. He's the most prolific designer of all time. He doesn't have a podcast. He doesn't have a YouTube channel. He doesn't have a magazine.
Dude, we're going to go look back and he like has all of these things actually.
Like, he may have had a blog at some point, but as far as I know, there's not like because there's the one Magic designer that does have, they had the like podcast they record in their car a lot. I forget what it was.
The guy, the Brian whatever, or the Mark Rosewater.
Mark Rosewater.
Yeah,
he had content, and enough content that I knew he had content, even though
he's
I didn't
a
follow it.
fascinating case today because he is the Magic guy who did that really early with like a little blog that he would talk about the game.
But like Richard Garfield is not
No.
doing any of that stuff. He just makes the games and disappears.
Mm-hmm.
And
He did an interview with us for Hive Mind.
he did.
Somehow.
somehow the web continues to weave in some way. But all that to say, like, there are two very distinct extremes, which is it feels like there's I don't say anything until I'm ready to say what I want to say, and then I do the thing, or I make the thing, or I put the thing out, and then I disappear again, and we rinse repeat.
Mm-hmm.
And the most extreme, like modern internet take, is like you have to be everywhere all the time in every conversation, constantly communicating.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a tremendous, tremendous amount of work to communicate in that way, especially like when you're working with indies or smaller publishers. Like it's so hard to do the thing that you're doing. And I would venture to say, like we were talking earlier about Richard Garfield, and it would be so insane to be that good at anything. But I think it's also very challenging to be that good at more than one thing.
Absolutely.
And so when you just talk about why any of these publishers start doing what they're doing, most of them, it's not because they want to start a business or because they wanted to do PR and marketing and communications. They just want to make the thing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's quadruply the case for something like Sorcery, where like Eric just wanted to make the thing,
Mm-hmm.
and he's making the thing.
He's making the thing.
But there are, just because of the modern times, so many expectations put on communication
Mm-hmm.
and transparency. And I think I mentioned this a few times, but the onus on that is actually only notably higher when you do crowdfunding.
Yeah.
Because there is an onus in that if we gave you money to do this project that's not done yet, we would like to know what's going on with that project until it's done. And then you kind of establish this flow of information
Mm-hmm.
that's hard to unwind.
Yeah. That expectation. Like for anyone who's in a relationship, of course, number one relationship problem is communication. And that's one person. And you're talking about one person who you're around basically 24/7 for 15 plus years, I guess 10 plus years close on my side, and still constantly having trouble. And now we're going to do that at a global scale from a couple of people in a company warehouse, right? So it's a constant issue. And I would like to ask Zach, maybe we could outline what were the downsides of the old school approach that had to be fixed or were seemingly needing to be fixed that led us to this new approach.
I think the simplest way to think about that for me is, in general, when you don't give people a narrative of what's happening and why it matters, they will make one.
For sure.
A funny
More
example,
than ever.
Yeah, a funny example of this is I caught there was some Reddit thread this week where someone had stated we're anti-LGS.
I made a note about that.
Yeah,
The thing on Reddit.
and
A screen name said that.
yeah, and so someone else was like, "Hey, do you have basically what's the proof? Like, do you have anything that could verify this take?"
Mhm.
And then they linked to last week's podcast,
Right.
which is fascinating to me that last week's podcast was somehow interpreted by someone
I can
as
understand why.
anti-LGS. And so specifically, I think one of the problems with the old school way is that you essentially are leaving it up to people. And now there's a bunch of people all over the world who could
Mhm.
fill in this void. And this is how you get things believed or commonly thought, or this is how expectations get set
Mm-hmm.
that are not aligned with reality. And then that can lead to a bunch of disappointment and like
Mm-hmm.
on and on it goes. So it's almost like one of the biggest downsides is that you are essentially ceding control of the narrative to the wind.
Mm-hmm.
And what I know in my experience is that there's so much detail and context behind the scenes that's going on. And so it is really hard for random people publicly to actually fully understand what's going on. And whether or not it matters if that narrative is accurate is the next question.
That's a big question.
Sometimes it does matter
Mm-hmm.
if the narrative matters, where it's like, I'm trying to think of a really good example of this, but
I have one for sure.
Okay.
And I think it's different based on what the narrative is about, because like in our case, so any company, if let's say you have 100,000 transactions across the lifetime of your business up to this point, and of those 100,000 transactions, let's say 99,500 of them go great / according to plan. Money's exchanged, products come in, products go out. Everybody satisfies their end of the bargain. Let's say of the 500 that don't go great, 50 of those 100,000 transactions really don't go great. Maybe customer service person at the time lost the ticket or something, or thought they responded and didn't click send, and so it languishes for a week, and now it's even worse. Or maybe they were having a really bad day and they were very snappy in their communications, and they gave an impression of your brand that was very negative. And the person took that to mean this brand sucks, they don't care about me, etc. So of the 100,000 successful transactions, 50 of those people maybe get probably the wrong end of your value set. And let's say half of those people, 25, go onto the internet to air those grievances, and in a way that is intended to be destructive, right? So you can pretty easily do this in today's modern internet, especially the smaller the company. You can go on their Facebook and leave a bad review, Google, leave a bad review, Reddit, start a thread. Every time they're brought up anywhere, you can talk about them, et cetera, et cetera. Discord the same way. And so pretty soon, one of the things that I was constantly kind of banging my head against was, probably I think 6 years ago, if you Googled Team Covenant, the top Reddit thread that showed up was somebody who had a real customer service issue. That was a real customer service issue, and that we kind of it was a moment, I think, for us as a company where we really reevaluated some policies and all of that, but that's not a known follow-up to what you read. And so you're thinking, oh, should I do business with these guys? And the one person who had a bad experience, maybe of the 0.5% of people who are going to have a bad experience due to what would effectively be random circumstance, has set the narrative that these guys are terrible to do business with. And you're just sitting there staring at it day after day after day. Number one result on Reddit, day after day. Nothing you can do. You can respond to it, fine. I mean, nobody upvotes it on Reddit, right? So it's not you. What do you do? And so I think the point of that is it's extreme. It became more and more possible for small interactions to form much bigger narratives much more quickly, and it became a bigger risk to all businesses in that light. So like Amazon, you think about that, for instance. If you have a great product, but your first run, the first 100 units, the first run were really bad, and there's 100 negative reviews on Amazon, you're cooked. Your product is done. So you need to restart, rebrand, et cetera, redo. And that didn't used to be the case. If you and I got a bad Pokemon box that was collated poorly, nobody in the world would know.
Yeah.
And unless it was a really, really bad issue that was spread organically through word of mouth and retail and all of that, nobody would ever know that those kinds of problems were happening. Now, if I get in Warlord a badly collated box, which they had a fairly bungled collation from their first set, I mean, everyone's talking about it. One guy talks about it on Discord and says, this is a thing that's happening to me. It pretty quickly becomes the entire thing is ruined, right? So I do think what happened as far as a downside of letting the narrative be filled by whoever wants to step up to the plate is that oftentimes the people who are talking because they don't like what's happening. I think it's very rare that you have a narrative aggressively being set by people who are enjoying the thing that you're doing.
Yeah. Even in your example of 100,000 people, the 999,500 that were satisfied or didn't have a bad experience, a pretty good or expectedly good or decent experience is not something you go on the internet and talk about.
Right.
A really bad experiences and technically a really exceptional experiences. But weirdly, in our business, you buy something on our website, we ship it to you, it shows up. You love the game. That's not a noteworthy
Right.
Particularly nowhere.
Right.
I ordered the
Right.
thing that shipped it to me and it got
Mhm.
here. Okay.
Mhm.
And then you also have like I've had experiences with companies where they are trying really hard to make that experience exceptional, but it's almost like too hard.
Yeah.
Where it's like,
It's
okay,
I get that you're
it's just a notebook.
Yeah.
I got it. Yeah, I do love my notebook. I love the way this
The
company did it. It was
follow
great.
up. Can we help you with anything? Do
it's
you
like,
need help writing
stop
in that
it.
thing?
Yeah.
You want
Anyways,
some pens?
but yeah, I think you're right. But even the Reddit thread example is difficult because it's like, well, what is it? It's not like we're not communicating.
Mhm.
We have podcasts all the time and content and channels, and we're like,
Mhm.
we have a Discord channel. You can literally come and engage with us at any point, at any time.
I do think though, if we hadn't had those things, it would be a much more problematic
Sure.
thing.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that's true. But then we're also in the business of serving people, right? Like, so we're a business that revolves entirely around, we are promising to do a thing that you're paying us to do, and then we need to do that thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think there's an onus on us that is different from somebody who's creating a product.
Yeah, well, I think that's the cereal example. General Mills sells to Target, sells to me. Target has a much greater responsibility to me than General Mills does. Because if I open it and it's bad, I'm not going to call up General Mills.
Yeah.
I'm going back to Target.
Yeah.
And then how Target handles that is a Target issue, not a Lucky
That's
Charms
right.
issue. Even though, funnily enough, if the cereal inside the box was bad, it's probably not Target's issue.
That's right.
Which is very similar to what we have
Mhm.
going on with publishers, right? Where it's like, well, people that publish games aren't designed as consumer-facing businesses,
Mm-hmm.
actually. Like, it's not that you can't be, but in the 90s, it would have been odd to be.
Yeah.
And now it's a lot more common to be.
Mhm.
It's almost the expectation to be.
Mhm.
And so you end up in this state. And part of this is based on what kind of company you are, what you're trying to achieve, whether it matters or not. I even think about, you talked about the seemingly a leak of information from a distributor about Sorcery yesterday, which is Frostmage Lavamancer pre-orders go up. Slash is being solicited by distribution to retail, etc. And they, on a distributor listing, are saying like X number of cards from this release come from a future release that's happening in Q1 2027.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well, the community expectation right now is that Sorcery releases one set a year.
Yeah.
And the last set came out in December of last year. And so I think, common assumption right now, maybe before this leak, is the next set of Sorcery is surely coming out by December.
Right.
And so
that's 1 year.
Yeah, it's 1 year. That's kind of rough, the expectation that has been set. And part of that is based on maybe what's been said by a publisher or not. And part of it's said by action. Like, this is loosely what has happened. And so then the question becomes, this is the narrative that I think is, you can either allow to happen and allow to be discovered, or you can be proactively inserting yourself into the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So one way this could have gone is 3 months ago, or whenever. I don't know. And I'll give our example of this to give some context on the complexity here. UK coming. Which is...
Buckle up.
At some point, if this is true, if distribution has this information and it's true, which, again, part of the problem is all we have is a posting from a distributor saying this and not any sort of announcement.
It reminds me so much of the old FFG days.
Communication, yeah.
Poland distributor just said that Game
there's
of
a
Thrones
leak.
back.
All these Polish cards are out. What do they do? But if that's true, at some point, Eris Curiosa knew that's true because they told this to a distributor, even if a distributor perhaps wasn't supposed to say anything yet. And so,
unless the distributor got it wrong, which also happens all the time.
Yeah, that's why this is all hearsay or not factual yet. But if it is true and they did know, they have had this information and they have not said anything yet. And so there's layers to this, which is like, well, one, do they have any obligation to say anything yet?
Mm-hmm.
And the timing of when you would say something like that, because there's going to be expectations that are disappointed.
Yeah.
And that for a product, especially a collectible product, the general interest or excitement about something is a really relevant piece of the pie.
Absolutely.
And so you want to be very careful with that. And so basically, how long have you known? Why haven't you told us? Is now the vibe. And if this is true, why are we finding out in this really bizarro way?
Mm-hmm.
As compared to another way it could have gone is, let's say 2 months ago, 3 months ago, they found out probably not going to happen.
Yeah.
And maybe this was always the intent.
That's the key that I think happens a lot of the times that I'm always amazed by when I talk to publishers. it could have always been like, yeah. I mean, I think quarter one 27 was kind of the expectation the whole time. And we were just going to like announce this thing, and then we'd announce the next thing, and then announce the next thing. And the community sees it as, oh my God, this is a big delay or whatever. But it's like, well, we never set a release date.
Yeah.
This isn't a delay at all. This is normal. What is everyone mad about? What's everyone? And that happens all of the time.
Yeah.
That happened to FFG a lot too.
Well, like we had a really good example of set 2 came out in October of 2024. Set 3 came out in December of 2025. So hypothetically,
looks like a year and 2 months. It
sounds about a year and 2 months, which to me would put set 4 at that same pace would be February of next year,
27,
which would be Q1 2027.
Mm-hmm.
But there's this like assumption that like Gothic was late.
Mm.
I don't know if Eric Trios ever said it was late.
I think they may have said it was delayed.
There's a belief that it was late, and it came out in December. And then everyone's assumption is like, well, next year they're going to catch up. And it's like, we're probably going to get it in September, October. That's where it started.
Right.
And then we get to like July, and they're like, well, maybe it's more like October, November. They'll do it at Avatar of the Realm. And it's like, well, maybe. But the point of that is all when you don't set the narrative and the expectation, other people do. Whether or not that matters, a different conversation. Because the reality is, it may not matter. And I think the potential thesis that you could go down to, and we talked a few weeks ago about it just making a great game enough. But like, it could be that you make a product so good that no matter what you do or what you communicate or when it comes out, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It'll be successful. And that would be awesome if that were true.
Yeah.
So whether or not you value it, the effort it takes to do it, why you're doing it a certain way. But I will just give my example to illustrate this that has kind of started coming out recently, which is we've been working for a while on our ability to basically serve players in Europe and retailers now through Fulfilled for a minute.
Yeah.
And that's been an active, massive pursuit of our company. And we have basically said it. I think we kind of mentioned it once on a podcast a while ago.
Probably.
But we're not actively communicating about that. We're just doing it. And at some point, we will very actively communicate about it when it's ready. And we're not saying it because it's not worth sharing, or it might not be worth a lot of people knowing that like this is where we're heading. There's value in that potentially. But it turns out there's a reason that a lot of people don't do this. It's very hard. It's very complicated. There's a lot of stuff going on. And there's so many factors and variables outside of our control that could make this take longer than we want it to. And we want to have this operational, right, as fast as we possibly can. And our team's working very hard. Everything from the website and the tech all the way to the logistics, fulfillment, warehousing, insurance, legal, tax, etc. So if we, let's say in February, we start talking about we are going to be able to do fulfillment and service in these regions.
But we don't quite know when.
Yeah.
But it will happen.
Or God forbid, we even say when. And it's like, hey,
yeah, God forbid.
We're aiming for this thing. You could even frame it.
Yeah, aiming.
We're aiming for this.
Intended.
Like this is our goal. We're trying to do this before the end of the year. And then you give updates, and we could have brought you along for the whole journey of we just did this, we checked this box, we got this thing. Oh, we ran into this hurdle, we switched this thing, we changed here we found our location, we're doing this, we're doing that. And there could be a lot of value in that. And it may be something that's really interesting to a lot of people. You get a lot of engagement, a lot of marketing. By the time you launch, tons of people know you're going to be doing this thing, et cetera, et cetera. But in our particular case, a few things. Once you start communicating about it, there's now this like ongoing obligation. And it's even the thing, we run it as for 3.0. Like as much as I've not wanted to talk about it forever until it's really a thing that's happening, it's like we started talking about that 6 years ago. Still not here. And it would be very easy, especially for our locals. And I have friends that have kind of gotten in this spot where it's like they've stopped asking.
Yeah. Oh, it becomes a joke.
Yeah.
At a certain point.
And it's like, well, you think we'll be able to play there by, I don't know, 2030, 2040? It's like, I hope so. I don't know. It's very hard and very complicated. And the reality, though, is that like people, there are a ton of people in my life, even just personally about 3.0 specifically, know enough to ask about it. And it's like, well, every time I see them, that's going to be one of the things they ask. And then I have to give them the 2 or 3 month blow. They know enough that I can't just be like, here. It's like, okay, I got to get into it over and over and over.
This thing didn't work out, and we had this thing that we had to move. And
truly, I'm at Covenant. I'm notoriously internally not known for over communicating, and it is exhausting to like. And this is with just like tens of people.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have thousands of people all over the world that you're potentially communicating with, it's very difficult and very time consuming. And for our sake, we're a small company. Like I constantly feel like I don't have enough time. And so spending more time having to communicate, or even like once the cat's out of the bag, if you're a player right now in, let's say, Europe, who's wanting to order Frostmage Lavamancer, it's like, should I wait to order it until I know whether or not? And then like you're asking, and now we're fielding hundreds of questions every week on, you think it'll be ready in time or not? And then like, where are you at on this? And it's just like so much work. And that's not even talking about now communicating to all of our partners who we do communicate a lot of this stuff with, and our timelines and our projections stuff, because we're working closely with them. But at the same time, like, it's just, there's so many pieces to that. And it is much easier, I will just say, not to say anything about it. And then when it's ready, it's ready. And then you do the thing.
That's really the question, right? So the downside is time, obviously. And it's not just the time of the person who's been hired or has part of their job is, you know, send the weekly announcement into Discord, send the emails, etc. And that's composing. So that's not just like clicking around. That's like, you know, put the content in the email template and all this kind of stuff. So it does take time. But it's not just that. It's also getting the information through the organization to the people who are actually also sharing it is a big part of that too. It's like, okay, well now I need to have a meeting with the comms people. I need to send a memo to say this new thing has changed. So make sure to communicate that to everybody, that it's now looking like it's going to be another month before we can get yada yada. And then that opens the door to now people have to answer questions in public that people are rightly asking about X, Y, and Z, et cetera. So there's a big time factor there. And I think there's the potential for disappointment is another big, if you share something like 3.0 and people get excited and then it doesn't happen, people get disappointed. And disappointment is like the poison pill of human joy.
Yeah. And people can handle some disappointment.
Yeah.
But eventually, like the 3.0 anticipation excitement, it turns from excitement and disappointment to like apathy or like actively disliking.
It's like, think about the Kickstarters that get delayed a long time.
Like this is where I'm at with Star Wars, actually. The number of times I've seen a Star Wars movie slate that 90% of the things on that thing just end up not happening. It's like, I'm so far into this with Star Wars that it's like, until two different people in my life highly recommend something, I do not care.
Yeah.
I don't even want to watch the trailer. I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to talk about it. I've reached like mass thing.
Well, and that's the other side of this is that it can very quickly lead to a perception of incompetence in a big way. So if you're doing a lot of talking about the great things that you're doing, and then that doesn't happen, and then that gets delayed and whatnot, it's like, this company is not good at the things that they're supposed to be doing. So that's just you bring, that is an unforced risk that you bring onto the table whenever you openly are trying to talk more about your plans and projections and ideas.
Yeah, a really good example of this, and it's funny, it's a fine line because transparency can build trust.
Yeah,
can also break it. Because I think about Warlord in this particular example, and we were hypothesizing about this earlier. But if they had not done crowdfunding, and they had to for resource reasons, but like if they hadn't and they just made the first set and printed it, then there are 12 months of delays that they had to basically at least monthly provide an update about.
Yeah,
and like, oh, this is the problem we ran into. Here's the stuff. That timeline would have been totally, none of that effort has to happen. None of that disappointment, etc. Game shows up and it's like, hey, this game's coming out in 3 months. Marketing starts. Everyone's excited. Pre-order it, buy it, ship it, off to the races. That would have taken a lot less time and energy to do. That said, I think they could have used the Kickstarter into release timeline. I think the theory is that you could communicate well enough during that to build trust and relationship and care and not disappoint people. But in the real world, that beyond, do you have the skill set to do that and the time and energy to communicate effectively and well enough and like often enough to do that? And what's that worth compared to just launching the game and it being great? Hypothetically, you could do that. Like, I think that is achievable technically, but it's also it's sort of how I feel about EU UK. There's so many third parties involved that it's a minefield. Because I remember talking to Woodrow and Josh when they were here. We were filming the documentary and the gameplay that got posted during their campaign, and they pretty generously padded the numbers they were getting from the factories on how long it would take.
Yeah.
And then it ended up not taking double, but it was like quadruple that time. And they doubled it, and then they end up still being like almost a year late. And part of that is because the factory messed up the collation and had to redo everything basically. And then you just end up in these scenarios where like now the onus is on you to give the play-by-play.
Yeah.
To make people understand why it's taking so long. And then by the time the thing actually shows up, 30, 40% of the people that were so excited they gave you money 2 years in advance no longer care.
Yeah.
They have been burnt out. And so whether or not you have the skill set to successfully communicate during that, or the desire or the time, those are all like relevant factors to that.
And then sometimes there are limitations too, because is it appropriate or even possible for Woodrow or Josh to come on with a monthly update and say the factory that we're using was quite incompetent in the way that they operated, and we won't be using them again, but we're stuck with them for now, because they're going to read that too.
Yeah.
Right. And so like, what do you do? Because then they have no incentive to deliver on the product for you. You're basically throwing them under the bus, rightly.
And the opposite is true too, which is, I heard stories of stores that routinely host sorcery events getting no Dragon Lord last year from distribution, even though it's not what's supposed to happen. And if you're sorcery and you had a plan, agreements were made, XYZ was supposed to happen, then it doesn't, and it's distribution just disregarded what they said they were going to do. What do you do? Yeah,
the retailer's like, what's up with that? Why did you guys do this to me? And then you're here left saying, we didn't, like, we intended for this. Well, then why isn't it working that way? No matter what, at the end of the day, you were incompetent.
Yeah, similar
if
situation.
The third parties are messing up.
Actually, in EU UK, and I've seen this over and over, where like you have a small indie studio, Air's Curious is one of them, that I think a lot of people kind of put the onus on them to solve global distribution and logistics, which is crazy because Europe hasn't figured this out. Like for distribution of Pokemon or Magic, let alone for sorcery. But it's like, if you're a publisher, regardless of who it is, and as far as I've experienced and seen from various publishers over the past 15 years, especially as it relates to card games, distributors in Europe are very conservative, like super conservative. And so when there's not enough product in Europe, it's really easy for Eric's Curiosa or Alpha Clash or Warlord to get blamed. And it's like, but again, it goes back to that starter deck thing we were talking about earlier, where you can print all the copies you want in the world, but unless someone in that region is willing to buy it and take it and warehouse it and sell it, you may not be able to supply that region very well. And like, that's a conundrum. And again, you just got into the game to make the game.
Yeah.
And suddenly, not only are you now having to like master PR, marketing, communication, logistics, now you're getting into fulfillment logistics. And it's like, well, I didn't get into this to be a distributor or a retailer or whatever it is. Like there's so many components to this. They're so hard. But that said, interestingly, talk about communication, you just end up in these scenarios where like, you don't really have a lot of control. You're a tiny company. And as a publisher, you're kind of one, like the pain points coming from the people, you're somewhat only allies that could even help you in this situation. So like, what are you supposed to say?
Yeah.
Like,
it's a tough one.
You know, I like best example of this for me was Star Wars Destiny. And this is long enough ago.
Say less for sure.
Yeah, I'll just. So I remember Star Wars Destiny.
And they're a big say less company there.
This is actually an amazing example of this. So, this is the debacle with Destiny production communication.
Nerd Herd is on it.
So here's the thing with Destiny. It got announced at Gen Con 2016, and we got a demo, and then they sent us with like a prototype copy back. And on the drive home from Gen Con, building decks, the next day took off, but I basically spent the whole day playing Destiny. It was like obsessed. Once I started building the decks, totally in. We played it, loved it. It was like it was very obvious. This is new era of Star Wars. This game is amazing. There's no way this game isn't gonna, like, everyone in the world needs to know about this game. There's no way it's not gonna win. And then we spend the next 3.5, 4 months aggressively telling the world about this game.
Yeah.
And like, we love it. This is so good. Here's why you got to check it out. Gameplay, etc. And at some point along the way, it was like, well, how much do you want to order? And my kind of response was, how much can we order? And at the time, for the 3 or 4 months during this period, generally speaking, the public, players, retailers, distributors were very negative on this game. Like, and this is back then. Now it's kind of funny, but releasing a collectible card game in 2016 was not in vogue.
Yeah, and it had the big colorful dice. It was like, is this a kid thing?
Yeah.
What's this going to be?
And so basically the answer was, you can order as much as you want. It's like, oh, shoot.
Let me go find a cash machine.
It's like, genuinely, it was like, I mean, how much can we buy? And it was a big moment for Covenant, because it was like,
can we take out a loan? And
it was kind of all in. Like, well, you'll let me buy as much as I want. I'm going to buy as much as I want, or as much as I feasibly can. And then we did. And then, leading up to the release, the general interest in the game started spiking. And I remember, like, by release weekend, it was like sold out of distribution, and we still had a lot.
Yeah.
So we keep selling it. And then the narrative starts going around, and there was this, I don't know, it's a group of players in Kansas somewhere that were like, my store says they can't get product because Team Covenant ordered all of it. And they're killing the local community, and no one else can have a community because Team Covenant just bought all the product. And several months later, I remember at Gamma, it got revealed that there was a retailer who pre-ordered more Destiny than any distributor in the world before the game came out. And of course, the game comes out, people love it, it's great, and then everybody wants it all of a sudden.
Well, it's easy to bet on the thing that's already a success, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, and so then, spoiler, we were the retailer.
Big reveal.
Yeah, which is insane. Like, again, especially in 2016, it's insane. That was a big unlock for us generally as a business, but even just perception-wise, it was like, for us, we ordered a lot, but on like the total supply level, it was not crazy. And then you realize that, like, every distributor in the world for a collectible Star Wars game was willing to buy less than we were willing to buy, as this tiny little ragtag group of hooligans from Chelsea, Oklahoma, right, buying this game. And that was just really, like, sobering. And this is FFG with a Star Wars license. Can't even get distribution to, like, take up any amount. Like, it was just boggling to the mind. And then FFG takes the heat, because at Gamma, this is why it came out, all these retailers are basically just like,
you guys have bungled it because I can't get product.
I can't get product. How could you possibly? This is Star Wars and a collectible game. How could you screw it up this much?
You should have printed more.
But the narrative for us, that was I'll call it the Kansas City narrative. I don't think it was Kansas City. It was like somewhere in the middle of Kansas, I remember. Was like, we were the problem. And it's like, well, and we didn't say anything. Because again, there's like this weird tension of like, well, this is a false narrative, first of all. And I know the numbers, and like, you're not even close. Like, we aren't the problem. But is it worth actually, like, I don't need to get in the mud. And like, I really, from our position, it's like, these are just I get it. These are players that really like this game, whose retail store says they won't support it and host events because they can't get product.
Yeah.
And the retail store is filling in this narrative, and now they're upset and they're blaming us. And they could write the Reddit thread that you were talking about.
They did.
Earlier.
They were very loud all over Facebook, et cetera, et cetera.
And it's like, one strategy is ignore it and move on, which is what we did. Another strategy, which could have been valid, is actually fight it. But it's a ton of time and energy to fight it.
Yeah.
Especially when you believe that the truth is on your side. And it's like, well, okay, moving on. But that is a great example of like what is worth your time and your energy and but there's a narrative that got developed there, and there's still probably 6 to 10 people that play games in Kansas that hate Covenant.
There's probably more than that. Just from that Destiny thing, people read a couple of Facebook comments or whatever, made their decision. I mean, we're out here in the public. It's very easy. I mean, the just trust in anything is so rightfully low right now that, I mean, are you going to take our word for it, or are you going to take the people's word? Because, like, of course, we would come out here and spin some PR narrative about how this wasn't our fault and all of that. But the truth isn't anywhere knowably in there. There's no receipts that anybody can provide unless we literally release email chains and, like, stuff. And you just can't really do that. So then you just have to take a side. And it's like, it's more exciting to take the side of the David fighting Goliath in this circumstance, even though we're the David in the grand distribution circumstance at that time. It's just easier, and maybe it's more interesting, more believable to take the side of that than it is the people who are trying to tell you, hey, no, we do have all the product, but like it's all above board. Like, it's not because we stole it from everybody else; it's because nobody else wanted it. And so you put it out there, and it's like, I don't know. Do you even almost become less believable the more that you try to spin a narrative, because it often becomes so rawly like this is in their business interest to do.
Yeah.
So of course they're going to say whatever they need to say, and how do they know we're not lying? And there's all those kinds of problems. So I guess the question from there is, what is the upside of engaging in comms like that? I will say from this conversation, I think an important distinction is the kind of business that you are will determine how deeply you need to have this kind of relationship with a customer base, where I feel like with us being a retail business and interfacing with customers and players all the time in a local store, at big events, every time, Discord channel.
Here.
When we come in, when people actually order from us on the website, we take their money, we promise them that we're going to do something. Like, we actually agree, like, we engage in contractual stuff with people. Like, Sorcery doesn't have a contract with any given player that says we owe you one set a year. But when they place an order on our website, we have entered into a relationship, right? And so I think for us, there's a much bigger onus and a much bigger benefit of being very available and communicating very openly, and actually, having a deeper relationship with our customer base. There are downsides still to it, of course, and maybe bigger downsides in the grand scheme of things, but it feels more appropriate for us to behave in that kind of way. But it feels less appropriate for a publisher to behave in that kind of way, because it's not that it's assumed, but it's not real that they need to have a relationship, capital R, with any given customer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they're making a thing for you to enjoy, but we're actually agreeing to do something for you. And those are very different things. And so I think a retail business maybe is on a different tier than a publisher, which on a different tier than like a multinational conglomerate, and on and on it goes. And it's important not to just fall into the habit of what this company's doing whenever your company's in a different category, because it's just the way that the internet works now, right? Yeah. So with that said, though, what is the upside of, let's take publishers. What's the upside of being like super communicative, transparent, having a Discord channel where your questions will be answered to the best of their ability all the time, truthfully, honestly, etc. Hey, we're shooting for a Q3 release. We've got half of the cars designed. We're about 30% through rotoscoping. We've got all of our logistics and factory lined up. We're planning to hit print in August, and we'll let you guys know how this plays out.
I mean, I think the upsides are you have the chance to set appropriate expectations and not create disappointment. I think you also have the chance to build relationship, where I know a ton of people that will buy whatever game Stonemeyer's putting out, sight unseen, unplayed. He's like,
just because of the transparency, or would that be the case because the games are good every time you buy them?
Could be, but I know there is, by the time the game's coming out, you've been hearing about it for a year and a half. And you've seen the process, and like,
so there's a hype building, kind of like
and there's even just like a trust where it's like, man, he is demonstrating the level of care he's putting in by showing the process. And it's like, as an example, if you could see the full front to end process for a set of sorcery. For some people, that would be like, oh man, this is going to be an amazing set.
That's true.
Because I've seen the whole thing.
Because that's effectively a marketing tool at that point.
And it can be used that way. But I think about, let's say the same thing were true with movies. Like, I would not want that experience. By the time a movie comes out, I actually want to know the least I need to know to have been excited enough to go see the movie. And that's honestly how I approach card games. Where like, once I know I want to play sorcery, a new set of sorcery, I would be, and this is me, again, I'm a monthly dust person as well. I would be excited for if I knew nothing other than when it's coming out.
Yeah.
I don't need to, as a player, just zoom out of everything. As a player, I don't need anything other than to know this is when a product's coming out. I can schedule my meetups or my events or my hangouts. I'm going to buy the thing. I guess I need to know how much it costs.
Do you, though?
Not really. I don't. What am I going to do?
I mean, unless it's like $1 million.
Yeah, it's
right?
loosely, okay, booster. If there's a booster box of a game coming out, that's all I need.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need another theme. I mean, technically, in like Flesh and Blood's case, I do.
Yeah, that's maybe a downside. You know,
yeah, because that Mechnologist set is like, I don't want this.
Mm-hmm.
And that not that's fine, but this is not a product I want to buy. Runeblade set.
Yeah.
A lot more.
Yeah.
Getting bought. So I'd say all that to say, I think you can set expectations. I think you can build relationship. I think you can market. Or even right now, like we could have been talking about EU UK for a year. And by the time it happens, so many people know that it's happening and are excited. Like when 3.0 happens, we have this, which is like, even though we've been pretty quiet about it recently, if things get a little warmer on that project and we will start talking about it. The plan is to talk about it really openly the whole time. When we're confident that progress is being made and it's going to be like, okay, really, it's like we broke ground. Mm-hmm. This is happening. And now we can start talking about it. So that by the time we're open, tons of people know we're open. They saw the process. They get to see what is going into it and how insane it's going to be. And they want to see it in person. They want to come visit. They want to come to our events. That's promotional marketing, et cetera.
But this is the final thing that I would like to get to. It's 2:10, so we've got about, 10, 15 minutes. Of course, we can do whatever we want. I mean, we could talk as long as we want. Not that the audience is particularly interested in that. So I wrote down discovery, and this is something that we actually cracked into a little bit before we stepped into the room as a bit of a make sure we actually know what we might be talking about in the end. So this is an important gap in this spectrum of saying less versus saying way more. In your example, if I was watching every week, there was a 5 to 10 minute video that was showing everyone from Eric's art direction process and playtesting and design meeting feedback to Sean and all of those guys designing cards and taking pictures and scanning the art in and getting the print sheet and looking at it on the computer and talking back and forth to the factory and all of that. If I was getting one card a week where I was saying, oh my gosh, the amount of getting the painting in the mail, unwrapping it, setting it on the thing, getting it all. On the one hand, yeah, like, whoa, card after card after card and like effort and dedication and care. On the other hand, I will go into that set having seen a great deal of the art already, knowing the theme, knowing kind of the thinking behind the design of the set that is going to be seeded into my brain as to what my expectations should be when I pick up a card and play it. Oh, it's supposed to play like this, or like the set is supposed to feel like this when I'm playing it. And so like I'm actively now kind of like forcing that and looking for that. What I lose there is elements of discovery. And so like to your point, if I go into the store and I haven't even heard about anything and I see the first thing I see is, oh my gosh, that set is probably about X because of the name, like Gothic. I go in, oh my God, this is a set about like,
look at that logo, look at the packs.
Dark, like creatures and zombies and undead and necromancers. And then I open my first pack and I have not seen any piece of art. I haven't heard about any ability. I don't know any of the tokens or the cards or the basically the mechanics of this set. And then I get to discover every single one of those things on my own or within my group of friends. That also to me has tremendous upside of my enjoyment of the product, even if it has some downside in my anticipation. So there's an important scale that you're playing with there where if you are super transparent and open, you're robbing people of the ability to discover. On the flip of that, though, is that people often will discover things that they don't like, not necessarily about your product, but for instance, because Eris Curiosa hasn't said anything about a set besides Frostmage and Lavamancer, a random distributor leak of maybe there's something coming in Q1 27 is an element of discovery that you've allowed to happen.
Yep. And now there's probably going to be 20 YouTube videos that get posted about it. The Discord channels were full of it yesterday.
Yes. And at the end of the day, is that actually bad?
So there's a few things here that are interesting. One is if you were being completely transparent in that way, where the whole process of the sorcery set is being documented and shared, technically someone could not watch any of that if they wanted to. You can go in very unspoiled to the process. So just point one, that is true. But point two is shared discovery is one of the more unique things about these games. And like you might, let's say Fossil was coming out for Pokemon. By the time it comes out, if all that stuff was true, you fully know, you know what you're looking for, you know the cards that are rare and what you're looking for and like what the big hits are.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I show up, I buy 3 packs, and it's like, it's a different experience
100%.
than having one of us that fully knows versus one of us that doesn't. And there's always going to be some amount of information gap if any information at all is shared. Or you open stuff yesterday and I just discovered it today. And the picture you painted is really rad to me, which is like, if I walked in right now anywhere and there was like a new sorcery set I'd never heard of, I would kill for that experience. Actually, that is like childhood peak discovery. It's like, I didn't even know this was there. I didn't even know how, you open a pack of jungle, right? And it's like, oh, this card out of this many in this set. It's like, oh, there's 87 cards. And then it's like, I wonder if this Pokemon's even in this set. And we're having conversations. You go to school. It's like, did you open anything this weekend? And like, it's just like this whole, let me see your binder, right? And you're just doing this whole thing. So I'm not naive enough to think that that is a normal thing that can happen in today's day and age. That may be too far.
Well, and there's just a lot of third parties between you and customers, and they all have to be on the same page about not saying anything,
which is very, very difficult.
Yeah, and they have a financial reward for knowing a lot about that set before anybody else does, so that they can scoop up the cheap singles.
As a retailer, as an example, I don't want to lose sight of. First of all, I'll just say this: being a local game store, per last week's conversation, very difficult. And when you have all these games coming out and all these products coming out, you want to know as much about that product as you can. Yeah. So you can decide, is it going to sell? Is it going to sell? And you want players to know as much as they can know so that you can gauge their excitement for the thing. Frostmage Lavamancer is a great example of like, if these announcements are happening and your players are like, I might get one. It hits different than if 50 people come into your store saying, hey, are you going to have this? I really want to get this. Now all of a sudden distribution comes to you and says, how many do you want? And you have a more informed decision. And like for a local retailer, missing big, especially on a booster box, is like potentially devastating to the business. Like you can't just order 100 boxes too many of a set and have it sit there, as most local game stores. So it is challenging to balance all of these interests.
Well, the last thing, the piece of this that I think is the thesis that I would end with, or maybe the conclusion. I guess the thesis is kind of what you lead with. But my conclusion in all of this is that, like everything, it's really bad when you just emulate what other companies are doing instead of actually knowing what it is that you're choosing to do and specifically why you're choosing to do it that way. And it may be different from the mainstream thought, but as long as you have a very definite decision that you've made about how you're going to approach this problem, and you have reasons why you're going to approach it that way, you can evaluate whether or not it's working the way you intended. And so with that in mind, I think the worst thing that you can do, whether it's us or publishers or video game companies or whatever, is basically just do kind of the middle ground. The middle ground is the worst. It's kind of like what we're talking about, love it or hate it, being really the best thing that you can do. If you're creating something, you should have a lot of people that love it, a lot of people that hate it, never people that are just kind of, it's okay. I I think you either need to say very little or you need to say a lot. And I think the reality of that is that if you're a company, you could hire a person to say a lot. And that's going to take some time out of the organization to get information to that person and make sure that they are able to say all the things they need to say and answer the questions. And you can run the local Discord or the big publisher Discord, and you can run all the Facebook groups. You can try to stay on top of things. You can post the daily, weekly, monthly blogs, etc. You can do that. But you could also hire another person to design cards. You could maybe hire 2 people to design cards and have the same amount of money and time going out the door. And so for me, like for most games, I would prefer they hire the card designers.
Mm-hmm.
I really would. And I think that they should feel comfortable knowing that that's a choice they can make and maybe should be making. But on the flip of that, they need to be expressly clear in setting expectations here, which is either A, never say anything from the start, which probably means don't do crowdfunding, for the love of God. But then the second thing would be, if you're going to pivot a communication strategy to more communication, less communication, whatever, be very clear about that. Like right now, my dream would be, whether this is Warlord or EC or I don't think, Earthborne, Andrew and Earthborne Games, they pull it off well. They have committed to a strategy of communication and interaction and relationship with their audience, and they're making good on that, and they're taking the time to do it.
Well, I was going to say, they have things built to make this true, though. Like, they have a podcast, and that is now pivoted into a news updates.
Yeah.
And they also have done every major thing through crowdfunding, which requires communication.
Yeah. Andrew replies in the Discord, in our Discord. Fisher does. All these guys, like Corey's in our Hub World Discord. Often, if you tag them, they will respond, and that's awesome. And I think they have done a really good job of having this kind of relationship-driven thing. But if a publisher like Sorcery was just, it just fits them, right? It just fits them. If they literally just came out and just were like, hey, we're just going to focus on making products. Like, we're focusing on the products. We're scaling the team to do that really well, and we're not going to really say anything. And whenever it shows up on retail shelves or distributor sell sheets or whatever, that's when you will hear about it and you'll learn about it and you'll see the picture for the first time and all of that.
Truly old school.
I'd kind of be into that. Yeah. I would really be into that. I think it would suit them better. And so some publishers really maybe would be better suited with that approach, because I think the middle ground approach, which most of them get trapped in, is we say we're wanting to communicate, but we never really do, or not quite enough. And we don't have anybody who's really spending their whole job is like we need 2 people hired to manage all of this and answer all these questions. So either do it or you don't. I definitely think that is the lesson that I would take from this. You either are doing it or you are not, and you need to make that decision.
Yeah, I do think and this is just tends to be true, like the extremes of a strategy tend to be better. And it's going to mean the people that love it, and the people that hate it, hate it.
Yeah.
And it's people are not going to be neutral about it. But I don't know, when you're the old school TCG vibe, like, if that was the vibe, it's like, we'll release products when they're ready and you'll hear about them because the people that are going to sell them to you will start talking about them.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Yeah.
I don't think that would be wrong. And then the expectation is set that it's like, this is what it is.
It's what it is.
This is what it is.
Community takes it from there. But like we've actively said, like, we're going to be open, responsive, available in Discord, etc. We're going to say more than I think most retailers would publicly. We're going to be live and just like off the cuff answering things, maybe saying things that come back to bite us, maybe leaving an impression that we hate the LGS or whatever. That's a risk that I think we've just decided we're willing to take, but we're also very committed to that.
Yeah. Well, it's just, I think you were right in saying that, I guess not structurally, like, by design, we are an entity directly interfacing now with players and retailers. And so it makes more sense for us. And that realistically, the people that Eric Teriosa should have a relationship, or Earthborne Games, is us, or a distributor, or other distributors around the world, and the factory that they're working with, and that kind of stuff. But it is a commitment to doing it. And that's where I do think you can get caught somewhere in the middle. There's a zone in the middle that is bad, and it can be. And also another piece of this would be consistency. No matter what zone you're at, if you're consistently at that zone, it's helpful to know what to expect or when to expect. But if you're sometimes doing it and sometimes not doing it, that is even now people can't even start to like. As an example, if we knew Eris Curios was never going to say anything, eventually we get it.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, well, this is how it is.
It's kind of that way, but kind of, right?
Don't love it, but sometimes you do hear it. Sometimes they do respond in Discord, and sometimes...
I do like that Eric will like once a year just pop in and say some random thing.
Yeah.
That is fun, actually.
And, you know, maybe the consistency here is there is no consistency. It's the old Sting quote. The only thing is for sure about the Stinger is nothing's for sure. So, yeah, I mean, it's all of it to say my grand conclusion in all of this is that communication is very difficult. Communication at scale with thousands of people all around the world is even more difficult.
Especially when it's two-way.
And we live in a world where it can be two-way and it can be at scale and it can be global, which is really cool. But also, at least the publishers we support are all very small publishers who got into it because they're very passionate about it and care deeply about making the thing they're making, and different skill sets. And like, they're not all going to be great masters of communication and all this kind of stuff. And it is very difficult. And it's very messy relationships where sometimes the people that screw it up are business partners. And if you're going to be transparent, there's no way to be transparent and not throw someone under the bus or not blame it. And now it looks like, are you just blaming someone else? Is it actually your problem? Or like, and getting in the mud and fixing narratives and like just the whole dance and the whole noise. So it is very challenging. It's challenging for us. The fact that last week's podcast was turned into we hate the LGS.
Well, and that was, of course, by one person on some random Reddit thread.
But that's your point. It's all it takes. And it's like, and the more you communicate, the more it's possible for that to spin out from different, like the clip I said about Elon and Jamie. It's like, that could be clipped and sent to Jamie. And Jamie suddenly is like, oh man, like Zach said this about me.
You know what's a really good example of this? A great one to close on is like, in that Ask Covenant channel, there was Aster Sigma who just, again, this is a great, we had a 22 message exchange. He or they, I guess, a random, seemingly random person with questions about sorcery for us was engaging with the co-founder of the organization just one-to-one. Like, that's what we have now. And I was just on my phone, like, talking. But basically said, somebody is asking questions about, like, EU, like, is there anything that can be done? Prices of sorcery outside of it. And I said the following, and I was trying, this was before we decided we're just going to say it. I said, basically, we do think it's extremely wise for someone to find a way for indie games to have the kind of reliable access and pricing outside of the US that Fulfilled and Direct gives them within the US. The markets are smaller and it's more difficult, but I bet it will be solved soon. But that was read in Sorcery General as, oh God, TC's not doing it, so who else would be doing it? And then I was just like, man, we're doing it. It's us. I was talking about us. I mean, it was a coy way to say it without really committing to it, but we're working on it. Like, we've been working on it for a year plus. And so things can so easily get misconstrued that you think you're like, oh, I'm nailing exactly. They'll take this exact message away from this comment, and it's completely opposite. It goes off the rails.
Yeah.
And then it's like,
yeah. Well, then now you're in the other thing, communicating there.
Yeah, it's like, I got to fix this.
Yeah.
Like,
then that might get and it's like, so it's like every piece of communication is putting a line in the water, right? You're fishing. It's like everything is like, and you never know what's going to grab that hook. You know what I mean? And eventually you have a million hooks out. And it's like, well, something I said on a podcast in 2017, someone read this way. Even like, I think about this is another one of those things. Like, this is the internet we live in, right? So this is back when Twitter was Twitter.
Excellent. I'm glad you're giving this example. I know exactly where you're going with this.
So back when Twitter was Twitter.
I'll get a kick out of this, John.
And someone I followed for a very long time in general is Mark Cuban. Became a billionaire during the .com bubble, and then bought the Dallas Mavericks on Shark Tank thing. And he's definitely got some takes. But he essentially posted a link to was like Fox Business article that had gotten published that either quoted him or he wrote or something. And the TLDR was like, capitalism gets blamed for a lot of stuff. But most people don't even actually understand what capitalism is. And here's what it is. Here's definitionally what capitalism is, which most people misconstrue.
Right.
It's like, okay, that's it. That's the thing. And as someone who
liked it on Twitter or something?
Well, as someone who studied economics in college and became very fascinated with economics and different economic systems, et cetera, that is something is a routine pain point for me where it's like, and it's funny, like I can say it, people can say it in jest. It's like, haha, capitalism sucks, right? Haha, like, et cetera. But at this fundamentally, like economic theory, just disagree. It's like it's one thing to have a problem with what's going on right now, which I completely agree with. However, it's not capitalism. Like,
sure. You can make the case that,
which we can get into that. But he just said in an article, it's like, yeah, I feel that, where it's like, we at least need to agree what the word means so that we can have a conversation on this thing. So I liked his tweet about this thing. That was kind of his thing. And someone, I think the review's still up on Facebook, but someone was like, then went and left us like a 1-star review on Facebook that was basically claiming we were white supremacist, like racist
Zach
and
founder,
whatever,
racist,
can't believe, et cetera. Specifically, seemingly because I liked a tweet that linked to Fox Business. And not a million years at that point did I think that me liking this random Mark Cuban tweet would result in a 1-star review of someone claiming we're white supremacists, which I have a lot of problems with, right? Yeah. But that's a great example of like me just existing on the internet on a personal account liking a tweet led to this. Now what? And it's like, do we even respond to this person on the review? Like, surely most people are going to
not
read this and be like, yeah, okay, this is like a weird review.
But it sets a seed.
Yeah.
You see that once, it sets an absolute seed in people's minds.
Yeah. So everything you do, everything you say, every appearance you make, every event you go to, even like there's a seemingly the modern Game Boys that I got us. I didn't know this till later, but it's like one of the primary owners, there's a lot of controversy about the person. And so you start diving deep and it's like, there's these threads about, I'll never buy this product because the money's going to go to so-and-so, et cetera. And you could read us having those things that we talked about as like, we're very pro this person and like assumed there was like a very informed decision that was made. And it's like, well, I mean, if you really want to go into like my opinions on Lucky Palmer, we can go there. But like, just because I have this product doesn't mean anything, actually.
You probably just Googled like best modern Game Boy and it was like on the list. Right?
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to two. There's the Chromatic from Mod Retro, which is what we have. And then there's the, not the one we didn't get. But it's basically like you can actually download games onto that one. But the comparison, the one we have is like pixel perfect screen. The other one emulates pixel perfect. And it's not the same. And people talk about it. And it's like, well, it's not. And
it's like, well, that's why you bought it.
And the other one, you don't actually play cartridges.
So you're saying it wasn't a political act?
I had no. It's like, no, I just want a Game Boy Color that is nice, that I can put a cartridge in and play it on a plane with batteries without having to like have it plugged in or like charge it, kind of a thing. And it's a phenomenal product. Side note. I love that product, but had no idea. And then it's like, you could have a problem with us even having those things.
Yeah.
And it's like this whole thing, but that is completely removing any humanity and nuance to what is going on here. And that is just like one action. That's not even communication. That's just an action.
But if you just share nothing, you don't ever have that problem.
If we don't have the podcast, if we don't talk about having the Game Boys, if we, whatever, we just did our thing.
You don't have a personal Twitter.
You don't have a personal Twitter.
At least not my own one.
Yeah.
Which is pretty easy these days, actually,
like,
not to have one.
Imagine and I almost did this. And I still might, but it's like, you know, something has happened in the game. It's like, oh, take a picture. It's like, I actually sent a picture of this to my brother where it's like for being the Viridian Forest for the first time back in Pokemon Red. And then like a Pikachu shows up and it's like the chemicals going on in my brain when that first Pikachu came across the screen in the Viridian Forest, was crazy. And it's like, that is easily the kind of thing you post like Instagram and Twitter. Artist formerly known as Twitter. But like you post it, it's got the brand of this thing in it. It's like there is a group of people who are like, anyone that owns this clearly aligns with this thing and is like, you know, let's go get them.
Jungle out there. Yeah.
Anyways, the internet, it's a wild place.
Here, I want to end with this comment from Jean. Is that right? Jean-Paul Sartre. That's not.
That's a great comment, actually.
It's absurdist philosopher, I believe. Jean-Pierre Paul, S4S. You know what easily gets misinterpreted is hours-long podcasts. You know what doesn't easily get misinterpreted? Concise, clear, fewer sentences is almost like being misinterpreted is a choice. I have thoughts on that. So I think actually this is just a scale between strategic communication and honesty and actual transparency. I mean, I think it's, first of all, it is very untrue that concise, clear press release style statements don't get misconstrued, because it happens all of the time. And usually they're full of corporate mumbo jumbo because you can't actually provide the context that you need to provide to say what you actually need to say to people. And so you cut all the context and cut right to the point, and then people fill in the context. Oh, it's being delayed because they laid off this person, or they got bought by this company, or they're in talks and their stock's about to go, and all these kinds of things. So shorter statements are not less likely to be misconstrued.
Can you pull David's comment up? This is a succinct way of saying it. It's more like the probability of something getting misinterpreted is higher the more words are used, but you can still misinterpret short sentences.
Well, but I also think the more off the cuff and the less, well, I dare say corporate, but the less planned the communication, the more authentic. So, like, I like doing this because I like having actual conversations with you, and I also like having actual conversations with the people out there, so we can actually like have longer form contextual things, like the Destiny story, right? Like, the concise version of that is nobody wanted Destiny and we bought it all, and that's why we had it. But you don't get the entire picture of, like, then later at Gamma, there's retailing and how much was actually, and you just actually see the whole picture. But I do think that if one of your reasons for communication, or one of the positives that you're looking for, whether inherently or explicitly, is authenticity and trust, I think long form, non-planned moments, whether that's in person or at conventions or via podcasts or whatever, are critical to doing that. Because I have interacted with people that are strategically communicating with me all of the time, and I do not inherently trust them, because they're playing a game of, I want you to believe X. And you just can play that game less well as you just actually talk for a long period of time.
Yeah. And I think for me, it's partially, we are here, we are live. You can comment on it. You can comment on the video after. You can also come into our Discord channel and directly engage with us, or you can come back next week and we can do the same thing. And this is very much a conversation. And like, you could misinterpret a 2-hour live stream for sure, 100%. But for people, to me, that's a risk I'm willing to take, because ultimately, people who just want sound bites and clips in like the simplest form of it, the 2-hour stream's not for them anyway.
Right.
Like, it's really just not.
It's for Terrence.
This is like an ongoing, it's for Terrence,
for you,
and
Terrence.
Tommy and David. It's like the just insanity of listening to us for hours and hours.
Tommy's always here.
But you do get this really amazing thing where, like, over years and years and years, you actually become a lot harder to misinterpret for the people that are actually engaging with you a lot.
Right.
Because it's just like in a relationship. If we have, like, Steve and I have a very long history, it is super hard for me to misinterpret something you say, particularly in like a negative, offensive way. Like, you have so much benefit of the doubt built up that you could say something that if you were new to me, or maybe this was your first day at Covenant, I would be offended by.
Well, and you know my weaknesses, right? So you know, he usually is bad at communicating these kinds of things, or he's not clear in these kinds of ways, or he's emotionally driven by these things.
Yeah, and you can build that same familiarity as a company with routine interaction, depending on what you're doing. So, like, the trade-off is, for the people that have been with us for a long time and engaging with a lot of what we do, and we're here in the Destiny days, or the Mompoc days, or the Spoils days, like, it is so almost impossible to misinterpret what we're doing. And, like, as compared to if this is the first time you're interacting with us, like, you might read some of the statements or listen to some of the statements we've said here and take them very differently. And specifically in the culture we're in, like, it's normal for people to talk at you on content, and it's like trying to be black and white, expert, definitive. And I'm approaching every one of these things that we're doing as a conversation that is evolving and ongoing and nuanced, and looking for the space where I think most people actively I think about publishers. It's like they want to make a great product. They want to make a great game. They want people to enjoy it. They're not looking to make someone mad, as far as I know. I also give the benefit of the doubt to most people listening or commenting, even though I could be wrong on this one.
Even though sometimes Shell Beach comes into our Discord and tries to roast us all the time.
Yeah. All right. Come have the conversation.
I'll always engage with it. Yeah.
Yeah. You have a problem? Let's go. I'm not shying away from it. But anyways, I just give people a lot of benefit of the doubt, I guess, or assumption of positive intent. And like people that don't want to do that for us and want to misservice them, that's fine.
Yeah.
I'll take the risk.
We're not going to stop talking.
Yeah, now, don't tell Jamie that I equated him to Elon Musk, because that's not true at all. I think very, very highly of Jamie.
That's awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for being here. Frank saying right here at the end, I'm frequently misinterpreted because I don't say enough. Happens all the time when I'm talking to my wife. I need to learn to say more. Yeah,
Wouldn't you say it happens when you're not talking to your wife?
I feel that though, yeah. And that's one of the benefits of like you do get to conclusions and get to context that you otherwise don't provide if you just stay in the game. You just keep going. And it's like, eventually I do get to what you were talking about. Yeah.
You just keep digging.
Keep digging, that's right. Thanks so much for being here, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Communication, very hard. I think there are some strategies that should be reevaluated though in the tabletop era and even in this era at large. I think we're in the downhill slide of the social media stuff personally, and it's time to kind of rethink and reinvent what it means to be an organization and or a person in this ecosystem and what communication looks like moving into 26, 27 and beyond. Anyway, know why you're doing what you're doing. Thanks so much for being here, everybody. We'll see you next time.